What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 10 RP 301. Meet the fans previous chapter next chapter. Advertisement. But time passed little by little, and in the next period of time, the people on this ship were quickly ready. Now that they have arrived at this place, there is naturally no need for them to think more about this place in the next period of time. The ship slowly came to the edge of the bubble, and following them, they had directly penetrated the bubble and entered the island. Only then did they realize that the air here was really no different from the outside air. However, as soon as they landed on the ground, many people gathered around them, and those people looked at Levi one by one, and their eyes became very solemn. Advertisement. After all, it can be seen from their expressions that they are obviously confused about the people on this ship, and they don't know who Levi and the others are and why they're here. And under such circumstances, time passed little by little, and in the following period, for the people on this ship, they really felt a little confused. Who are you? Why did you come to this place? What is your purpose of coming here? The people on the boat looked at Levi warily at this time. It could be seen from their eyes that they were very nervous about Levi's existence. Under such circumstances, Levi looked at them with a look of forbearance. He couldn't help but laugh. After all, no matter what angle you look at, the people living on this island have rarely seen outsiders before. It's just that as time passes by, for the people on this ship, everyone's mood is very strange. Advertisement. If they really want to do something bad on this island after arriving on this island, then they will obviously feel very nervous. But for the people on this island, they soon became a little confused. Gradually, they were also prepared at this time, because for them, such things also made them feel a little unclear. But at this moment, Levi had already walked off the boat, followed him closely, and after looking at the people around him, he couldn't help but laugh at this time. Please give me flowers, don't be nervous, everyone. My purpose of coming here is actually very simple. I just want to stop here for a while, but I actually need to find something when I come here. Advertisement. If possible, I hope to meet with your king, and then your king will understand what I want to do. Zero. Levi said with a serious face. At this moment, everyone around him was obviously stunned for a moment. Their eyes fell on Levi, and their eyes looking at Levi became a little weird. At this moment, someone in the crowd, but he didn't know who it was, suddenly shouted, "No, aren't you that Levi?" After hearing this, Levi was obviously stunned for a moment, but under such circumstances, he immediately scratched his head, and after a moment, he still laughed. You were right, I am that Levi. If you have recognized my identity, what do you want to do with me? 302. King of Mermaid Island. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Levi suddenly recalled what Shaki said to him before. According to Shaki, the people on the island were actually full of goodwill towards him at that time. If things were really like this, then what would happen next? Much easier to handle. Everyone, I have absolutely no ill intentions towards you when I come to this place today. I just hope that I can spend some time here and hope that 743 can meet your king. Levi said with a serious face, trying his best to make his statement less offensive, but at this moment, the people present obviously felt that something was strange. Advertisement. But after a moment, they all nodded, and then they patted their chests and said to Levi seriously, "Of course there is no problem. You are the master of our entire the Fishmen Island. This matter is of course nothing to us, so please follow us next." People around him told Levi about this place, and under such circumstances, they immediately turned around and led Levi forward. Time passed little by little, and in the following period, for everyone present, the mood of each of them seemed a little strange. But gradually, their moods became a little more curious at this time. Although they said they had known Levi for a long time, they had never been in contact with Levi before. Advertisement. What's more important is that Levi's arrival quickly spread throughout the island. Under such circumstances, more and more people came towards this side. Levi walked all the way over, and sure enough, I saw a lot of people around me, and their eyes fell on me. Judging from their looks, they are obviously very curious about Levi, and there are even many people around who are cheering non-stop. However, during the next period of time, Teacher Levi followed the group of people around him and kept moving forward. Finally, when he came to the center of the island, he looked up and discovered that there was a huge palace in front of them. And in the center of this palace, at a glance, it seems that there are many mermaids surrounding this place. Gradually, Levi naturally felt some expectations at this time. If he could come to this island and have contact with the people here, then he would like to find the last piece of red historical text. There is no problem. 1. Advertisement. Time passed little by little, and for the people here, each of them became a little more excited. But in the following period, for them, everything that happened here made people feel that there was nothing wrong. But at this moment, Levi suddenly saw a very huge monster with a size of 4.2 in the palace, and it quickly moved closer. The monster had yellow hair and a beard, and was very huge, but he still looked like a mermaid. But this mermaid's body is covered with thick and dense hair, and more importantly, its size is at least 10 meters. 303. Meeting old friends. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. This is the first time Levi has seen such a huge fishman. He was thinking, could this man be the king of the legendary Fisherman's Dragon Palace Kingdom? But if this person is the king, why are there no guards around him? Could it be that he is a guest at the Fishmen Island? Soon, people gathered around the palace on the Fishmen Island, and there was a loud noise from the crowd. From the conversation coming from those people, Levi finally understood. It turns out that this man with thick hair, a body of more than 10 meters long, and yellow hair and beard is the king of the Fishmen Island, Neptune. Advertisement. I heard that Neptune is the father of the 3 Poseidon brothers and Princess Shirahoshi, and that he was an old acquaintance of Roger, the pirate king. It is said that Neptune's daughter, Princess Shirahoshi, is very beautiful, but I wonder if I will have the chance to meet her this time? Although Yamato and Shaki who came with me this time are also beautiful women, they each have their own characteristics. If you have the fate to see it, it is naturally good. If you don't have the fate to see it, I hope that the purpose of coming this time can be achieved. On the other side, King Neptune of the Fishmen Island is not in a good mood these days. Because one thing has been bothering him. Early in the morning, there was a noise outside the palace, so he walked out. I wanted to see what happened outside to cause such a big commotion. The Fishmen Island usually has few outsiders coming to it. Advertisement. As soon as Neptune came out, he saw a handsome young man standing there among the crowd from a distance. And he was accompanied by the Golden Lion and 2 little girls. Neptune was shocked. He knew Golden Lion. He was once as famous as his old friend Roger, but I heard that this person died long ago, right? Why is he standing here again now? And he stood obediently next to the young man. Could it be that this young man is the legendary Levi? Neptune had long heard of a young man named Levi. He has great strength, and his subordinates have occupied countless territories. Even the interests on Cake Island have been redistributed, and they are still looking for someone to fight against the world government. Although he had heard of Levi, he had never seen him before. Seeing that he came to his territory, he was quite welcomed by his fishmen subjects. Advertisement. Although Neptune only looked at Levi from a distance, after looking at him, his favorability towards him also improved a lot. He was originally a person with a relatively gentle personality, and he often did not take his guards with him when he went out. Neptune smiled at Levi and said, "Young people heard that you are Levi, right? I have heard of your name, but I didn't expect you to come here today. What is going on?" Levi didn't speak yet and just nodded to Neptune. "Old friend, do you still remember me?" Neptune heard a familiar voice, but he hadn't heard it for too long. "Is it really him? Did this young man named Levi actually invite him?" "Is that you? Really? Ha ha ha, it's me. I didn't expect you to still remember me. This time I decided to come out because I was invited by this young man Levi. There is something important that I want to ask you." 304. I still remember my bravery in those days. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Levi had a deep talk with Rayleigh on the way here. He knew that based on his words alone, the king of the Fishman country, Neptune, might not tell him any clues. So this time he specially brought Rayleigh with him to the Fishmen Island. The nod to Neptune just now was just polite. As for the rest, it all depends on Rayleigh's performance. As the voice came out, an old man wearing glasses with white beard and long curly hair flashed out from behind Levi. Neptune, who had not seen Rayleigh for many years, was almost unrecognizable when he appeared. Neptune suddenly saw his old friend Rayleigh but ignored Levi's existence. Especially when Rayleigh mentioned that he came because of something important, Neptune suddenly remembered some past events. Advertisement. Those past memories came to mind. When Neptune met Silver Rayleigh more than 20 years ago, as Roger's deputy captain, he was so high-spirited. That short blonde hair back then made him even more intelligent and courageous. If it weren't for the straight scar on his right eye, his voice would still remain the same. Rayleigh appeared directly in front of Neptune, and he would definitely not be recognized. Seeing Rayleigh's appearance, Neptune's eyes were a little moist. More than 20 years ago, when the two of them met each other, it was when Neptune was guarding the gate of the Fishman Island based on the prophecy of the fishman fortune-teller Sha Li. And it was at that time that Neptune combined Shiarli's prophecy and what Rayleigh and Roger had said. The fate of his daughter, Princess Shirahoshi, was clarified. When he thought of this, Neptune suddenly felt a little sad. Advertisement. Back then, Rayleigh and Roger told him about the fate of their daughter Shirahoshi. Neptune only wants to be a loving father, and does not want his daughter Shirahoshi to be the one who fulfills his destiny. As the saying goes, the greater the ability, the greater the responsibility. What he hopes more is that his daughter Shirahoshi can grow up healthy and happy, instead of shouldering a heavy mission and responsibility and embarking on a thorny road full of twists and turns. Levi looked up at the expressions of Rayleigh and Neptune. Rayleigh's eyes were filled with light, but she was a little more evasive. Neptune's eyes were full of tears, a little excited, but also a little sad. Levi didn't quite understand. Didn't he agree with Rayleigh that day that he was going to come here to find out about the 2 red inscriptions left on the Fishman Island? Looking at them like this, is there something hidden in this that I don't know about? But with the expressions the two of them had now, he couldn't easily disturb them. Advertisement. Levi cleared his throat, ahem. Hearing Levi's voice, Neptune woke up from his previous memories. There are so many people from the Fishman Island gathered here to watch the fun. It's really inappropriate to say anything in public. You guys come with me. After speaking, Neptune made a gesture of invitation, from Li, and nodded politely to Levi. Out of respect for Rayleigh, Levi also made a gesture of invitation and asked him to go ahead. The remaining Yamato, Shaki and Golden Lion also followed Levi obediently and entered the palace of the Fishman Kingdom. Then the palace door closed with 10 sounds. The spectators also left one after another. The road in front of the palace once again returned to normal. 305. Some of them are incomprehensible. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. The group of people who came to see the excitement originally came to see the legendary Levi. Now seeing that several of them had gone to the palace with their king Neptune, they felt that there was nothing to see. In the palace, Neptune has not said a word since he closed the door. The whole person seemed a little dull. Although he did not have human-like feet, he was dragging his long fishman-specific tail along the way. However, Levi noticed that the way he moved his body seemed a little worried. What's going on here? Levi really doesn't understand. With this doubt, several people were soon in the palace, and after a while they came to a room. Advertisement Neptune opened the door and took them all to a reception room in the palace. Coming here, Levi took a casual look at the layout. The furnishings of this reception room are not very luxurious. Even the decorations are shells and seaweed that are common in the deep sea. Everything seems so simple and unpretentious, but it also reveals a bit of the characteristics of the Fishman Island. 3 sofas and a small coffee table are all the furnishings here. Several people sat down after distinguishing the seats of the guest and host, while the Golden Lion stood numbly behind Levi, as if he was guarding Levi. Levi thought that Rayleigh would get straight to the point when he arrived, but after sitting down, he realized that the two of them had started to reminisce about old times. Levi sat next to him and didn't speak, but listened to what happened between the two of them. In those descriptions, Levi also heard something that interested him. That's about the Fishman Princess Shirahoshi, advertisement. But Neptune's words didn't say what it was. Just keep repeating what happened 26 years ago, and what happened 10 years later on the day Princess Shirahoshi was born. Levi was also confused when he heard this, but he also knew from this that Princess Shirahoshi had just turned 16 this year. It is the age when flowers bloom like jade. Later, I heard Neptune start to ask where Rayleigh has been in the past few years. CBAJ, and Rayleigh's answer was that he was doing coding work on the passing ships on Saboti Island. Rayleigh made that decision after he learned about Princess Shirahoshi's fate. In order to protect her, to fulfill Captain Roger's legacy, and even more to protect the world. So I am willing to live in seclusion in Saboti Archipelago. The transportation here is convenient, the port is excellent, and you can also come into contact with pirates from all directions. In addition, by doing this coding work, not only can he get information, but anyone who wants to go to the Fishman Island will come to him. Advertisement. This is already the optimal solution. But these things cannot be told to outsiders. He couldn't say that even to Neptune. He will only appear when Shirahoshi is in danger. Only in this way can we be surprised. But obviously Neptune didn't quite understand Rayleigh's painstaking efforts. How could you do such a thing? You were Captain Roger's first deputy back then, the captain of the entire Roger pirates. You were also one of the greatest pirates. Neptune was a little surprised. How could this powerful figure back then be working in an inconspicuous job as if he were living in seclusion? Could it be that Rayleigh gave up on her dream of being the Pirate King? 306. Neptune was very hesitant. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Of course I have my reasons, you will know when the time comes. After saying that, Rayleigh showed a faint smile. This made Neptune even more puzzled. I heard that you also gave up the title of One Piece's right arm? Neptune's eyes widened even more. How important is a title to a famous pirate? This Rayleigh, where has his ambition to turn the world upside down gone? Is it really too late for a hero? Neptune's eyes became even more sad. Rayleigh was still smiling. Old friend, there is no need to be sad. This is something I like. However, this is not what I am here for today. Saying that, Lee looked at Levi. Advertisement. Neptune was also a little embarrassed, because he was preoccupied with something, and he had talked a lot after meeting Rayleigh, so he forgot about Levi. I'm sorry, Levi, I've just been a little distracted these days. It's okay. Levi hesitated for a while. I'd better get straight to the point. Levi then told Neptune about his purpose of coming here. Listening to Levi's story, Neptune nodded slightly. He finally understood why Levi showed up here with Rayleigh. There are indeed 2 historical inscriptions on the Fishman Island. One black and one red. The only person in the world who has actually visited Raftel and interpreted the inscription is Roger, the Pirate King. After he arrived at Raftel, he also returned the inscription to them. And of course Rayleigh, who was his deputy, had been there too. If Rayleigh really planned to tell Levi this information this time, why didn't he just take Levi with him? Advertisement. But instead, I asked him to come to my place and read out the inscription again? Neptune didn't know what kind of medicine Rayleigh was selling in his gourd. He quickly winked at Rayleigh, but Rayleigh seemed not to see it. Speaking of Neptune, I've come here in person, but you're not even willing to take it out? Ah, this? Neptune really couldn't figure out the situation. But looking at Rayleigh's expression now, it seems that she doesn't mind letting Levi get these 2 inscriptions at all. Is there something wrong with the inscription? Do you need our help? Please give me flowers. Levi watched Neptune hesitate for a long time, without giving a clear answer whether he had it or not. I also felt a little strange. It couldn't have been stolen by someone, right? Advertisement. Now that the 4 Emperors' power has basically been wiped out, who else would blatantly steal from other people's territory? .00 At this moment, there was a sudden knock on the door in the reception room. Levi and the others looked at each other, then looked out the door. At the same time, he also noticed that the expression on Neptune's face showed surprise. This shows that even he does not know who will come at this time. Come in. As soon as these words were spoken, the door creaked open. Then, a beautiful woman with flowing long pink curly hair and a figure even bigger than Neptune came in. Father, I heard that you were receiving guests, right? Yes. Shirahoshi, why are you here? Shirahoshi smiled slightly, and the shell-shaped earrings on his ears swung gently. 307. Princess Shirahoshi's Troubles. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement just a few hours ago. That is Levi and Golden Lion and Yamato, Shaki and Rayleigh. The ship that had just carried their coating was about to arrive at the palace of the Murloc King. Mermaid Princess Shirahoshi had just had a quarrel with his father Neptune. The reason is simple. Since something happened in the past, Shirahoshi started learning karate with one of his older brothers. Her eldest brother is Karstar, her second brother is Huangxing, and her third brother is Sharkstar. All three of them have done some research on karate and swordsmanship. Especially after they dealt with Hody Jones and helped their country solve its difficulties. Shirahoshi has always wanted to have such strength like his three brothers. It can not only stand up when the Fishman country encounters danger. You can also wait until you encounter difficulties and save yourself. But this is just because she herself does not know the fate she is carrying. Advertisement. But every time she talked about it, her father Neptune would always quarrel with her. But, despite his father's obstruction in every possible way. But Princess Shirahoshi still took advantage of some free time that her father Neptune didn't notice. I learned a little from my three brothers, although her current combat power may not be as strong as an ordinary pirate. But Shirahoshi is also happy. After all, there is still room for improvement in the future. But soon the news leaked out, exposed to his father Neptune. Neptune knew exactly what happened to his daughter, Princess Shirahoshi. But he didn't want Shirahoshi to learn this, because when she was young, something happened because she couldn't control her power. Advertisement. If Princess Shirahoshi learns those things again, wouldn't she accidentally injure others? This morning, Neptune discovered that Princess Shirahoshi was practicing secretly again. The two men had a big quarrel. That's why Neptune has been depressed and a little sad. This also caused him to look worried when he saw Levi and Rayleigh arriving. The other side. The mermaid Princess Shirahoshi had a big quarrel with her father, King Neptune of the Mermaid Kingdom. Now the two people are angry, so she locked herself in the door and refused to open it no matter how others knocked on the door. Even the servant who brought her food was kicked out by her. Later, she discovered from the window that several strangers had come to the city of the Fishman Kingdom. From a distance, I could see that there were beauties and handsome guys among them. Of course at this point she didn't know it was Levi. Advertisement. So curiosity arose in my heart. I want to see if these people come to the Fishman country to cause trouble like the others. BWGB, B, or just visit and play casually. Later, when Shirahoshi heard from his servants that these people came to see his father, he became even more curious. So she knocked on the door and wanted to ask her father what was going on. Do you need her help? Princess Shirahoshi originally came from Master Bendo with a somewhat provocative tone. 3.0 But as soon as he opened the door, he saw Levi sitting on the sofa. He was talking seriously to his father. Next to Levi is an old man, and behind him is a man who looks very powerful. In an instant, Shirahoshi's image of Levi changed. Obviously Levi is not only handsome, but he also seems to have the ability to look down on the entire pirate world. 308. I felt a little distracted for a moment. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. It is precisely for this reason. At this time, after the mermaid Princess Shirahoshi saw Levi, her tone suddenly became gentle involuntarily. Princess Shirahoshi looked at Levi and was unconsciously in a trance. I originally planned to come in and see who was coming. But now I couldn't say a word. A hint of girlish excitement could not help but appear on Princess Shirahoshi's face. She just felt like her heart was pounding like a deer. But she had never experienced this feeling in the 16 years since she was born. She didn't even know what it meant. Could it mean that she has a crush on humans who look like Levi? But this is wrong. 21. Advertisement. She had never seen humans before, but she had never felt this way about Levi. Shirahoshi couldn't help but be a little excited for a moment, and the shell earrings on his ears swayed slightly. Neptune didn't speak for a long time after seeing his daughter come in. There was no answer to the question he asked just now, so he repeated it again. Shirahoshi, Shirahoshi, what on earth is going on? Ah, Princess Shirahoshi responded casually. She wanted to answer her father's question. But I don't know where to start with this. Princess Shirahoshi seemed unable to take her eyes away from Levi. Feeling a little shy, his face turned slightly red. Although her father's words lingered in her ears, she tried hard to open her mouth, but she still couldn't answer. All he could do was freeze in place. Advertisement. Neptune looked at his daughter's strange look and scratched his head. Following his gaze, he found that his daughter was looking at Levi. Levi looked at Princess Shirahoshi and then at Neptune. He had long heard that King Neptune of the Fishman Kingdom had 3 sons and 1 daughter. Princess Shirahoshi, in particular, is cute, has a gentle and kind personality, and feels close to humans. It's just that as a fishman, his body is extremely huge. When Levi looked at it like this, he didn't need anyone else to remind him, he understood immediately. It turns out that this is the rumored Princess Shirahoshi. Levi couldn't help but look at her. After all, who could resist taking a second look at such a cute and beautiful person? On the other side, Yamato and Shaki are also looking at Princess Shirahoshi. In the eyes of both of them, Princess Shirahoshi seemed to be an uninvited guest. Ever since they followed Levi, they felt gradually conquered by Levi's personal charm. Advertisement. Although Levi still has more contact with Robin, the navigator on the ship. But they both always find time and opportunities to get close to Levi from time to time. Fortunately, Robin didn't come with them this time. Recently, Robin has been busy with one thing. That is 250, working hard to study and think about the red historical inscriptions. Not only is the text on it obscure and difficult to understand, it is also very difficult to decipher. And because a piece was missing, Robin's progress was slow. Because Robin didn't come this time, the two of them spent a lot more time with Levi. Before, they were still immersed in the memories of riding on a coated boat with Levi and looking at the beautiful scenery in the sea. Shirahoshi suddenly appeared. Now, when these two people saw Princess Shirahoshi staring at Levi, they felt a little jealous. For this reason, they couldn't help but look at it. 309. Rayleigh's Wish. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Rayleigh, who had been sitting on the sofa, looked at Shirahoshi and felt a little excited. Although he didn't need to introduce it deliberately, he already knew it. But he still suppressed these emotions. Some secrets should be kept in your heart and should not be known to others casually. This time Rayleigh accompanied Levi to bring back the inscription for Levi and Robin to interpret. In Rayleigh's heart, Levi has long been identified. Because in the entire pirate world, Levi is the only one who can defeat the four emperors and possess supreme strength. At the same time, Levi is the only one who can qualify as the pirate king, and no one else is worthy. After he went into seclusion, not only King Neptune of the Fishmen Island, but also other people knew that he was once Roger's subordinate. But those who knew that Rayleigh had followed the great pirate king Roger into Raftel when he was young always had an idea in their minds. Advertisement. Some people think that Rayleigh will secretly go to Raftel again. So ever since he secluded himself in the Sabayati archipelago, there have been incidents of people following him secretly. Those people wanted to see where he went during the time he disappeared. In fact, there is only one reason why he disappears from the Sabayati archipelago every year. That is to pay homage to the dead pirate King Roger. In order to hide his identity, he was secretive. But some people always felt that he went to Raftel secretly. He won't go there at all. Even if he thinks Levi is going there, he must solve the mystery by himself. Because you really need to prepare a lot of things to go there. It is useless to know the route there simply by interpreting the inscriptions. Advertisement. This is also the misunderstanding that people in the world have about going to Raftel. From the way Neptune behaved just now, Rayleigh knew that he must have doubts. I'm afraid even Neptune thinks that he, Rayleigh, must know the route to that place. If you really want to tell Levi, just take him there instead of coming to him to ask about the whereabouts of the inscription. Maybe Neptune still misunderstood. Was Rayleigh coerced by Levi? When Rayleigh was about to explain, Princess Shirahoshi came in. One of the reasons why he went to Sabayati Island in seclusion was to secretly protect the mermaid Princess Shirahoshi. At the same time, you can also find out who was having bad ideas about the Fishmen Island. When he came with Pirate King Roger 26 years ago, Princess Shirahoshi was not yet born. In the days that followed, because Roger encountered an accident, he did not dare to come here again. Advertisement. This is the first time he has met the mermaid Princess Shirahoshi. Because I already know part of the truth about world history. So Rayleigh looked at Shirahoshi carefully. At this sight, he could see the energy contained in her body, which was the first of the three ancient weapons. It's just that apparently Princess Shirahoshi doesn't know she has these yet. And Neptune probably never told Princess Shirahoshi. Seeing that the person he was protecting was safe now and had grown so big, Rayleigh couldn't help but smile. The golden lion standing behind Levi was made like this because it had been injured by Levi's Reiatsu. Now he is indifferent and has no interest in anything. But seeing the beautiful mermaid Princess Golden Lion couldn't help but clapped her hands. 310. The contrast of Golden Lion. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Everyone's reaction during this period was only a short period of time. Several people in the room were all staring at Princess Shirahoshi. But they are each thinking about their own things. Shaki and Yamato are jealous and suspicious. Rayleigh wanted to explain in her heart but she didn't have time to explain, and she was a little excited. Neptune was a little wary of Levi, he was speechless, and he felt a little annoyed. As for Levi, this time it must be for the purpose of getting the historical inscription. Everything else is just incidental. If you have it, you will be filled with joy, if you don't, you will have no trouble. And of course there was Princess Shirahoshi who stood in the middle and was lost for a while. Advertisement. The thoughts of these people at this time were all amused by the words spoken by Golden Lion. Wow, sister is so pretty. The reason why Golden Lion has this reaction is because when Levi created him, he only took away most of his subconscious mind and left a little for him. Therefore, Golden Lion's childlike character still remains in his heart. The psychology of a child is that when they see something good, they can't help but praise it, and when they see something evil, they point out the evil. Ah, thank you, sir. Where? Princess Shirahoshi felt that the Golden Lion, although stern, looked powerful and a bit fierce, CBF. But now that I say this, I feel the contrast is too strong. When Neptune called Princess Shirahoshi just now, she had no reaction. At this time, because of these words spoken by Golden Lion like a child's words, he smiled directly. But as soon as she finished speaking, Princess Shirahoshi found that everyone was staring at her. Advertisement. Even Levi, whom she misses deeply, is like this. She only felt that her face was redder, even hot. Although my daughter is very cute, I don't need to praise her. She will be spoiled rotten. Neptune has long forgotten why Shirahoshi hurried in just now. Taking this opportunity, he found that he seemed to have forgotten to introduce it. By the way, Shirahoshi. Let me introduce you. Sitting here is Levi, next to me is my old friend, Rayleigh. Standing behind Levi is Golden Lion. Those two are Changchi and Yin. As soon as Neptune was introduced, everyone formally greeted Princess Shirahoshi. Shaki and Yamato nodded slightly, trying their best to smile and say, "Hi." Rayleigh touched the short silver-white beard on his chin. "I finally see you, you have grown so big. It's good." Levi stood up politely and bowed politely at 30 degrees. It's better to meet her than to be famous. She is indeed the most beautiful princess in the entire the Fishman Island. Advertisement. At this time, Princess Shirahoshi kept complaining about herself in her mind. Ah, what the hell was that just now? What was I thinking? Such words are so embarrassing. God, my face is so hot. Princess Shirahoshi couldn't help but put her hands on her face. As for what to say to her father, she had forgotten. She just felt confused now. But she heard Levi's name. In addition, Levi suddenly stood up and saluted himself. Princess Shirahoshi felt that she might die if she didn't go swimming in the sea for a while. Nice to meet you, Master Levi. 311. I have to explain. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. The shy Princess Shirahoshi said the last few words in a very soft voice. She couldn't hold on any longer and ran out immediately after finishing speaking. Boom. The door to the house was closed again. Neptune only felt that after his daughter reached the age of 16, she seemed to have many strange behaviors. Although he loved his daughter very much, he couldn't understand what Princess Shirahoshi was doing. Seeing her closing the door and running out in such a hurry, he felt a little embarrassed. Don't be offended. My daughter is used to being willful. Levi knew that this was Neptune being modest, so he followed his words. No, I think it's quite lively and cute. Advertisement. Ahahaha, Levi, you are too polite. Levi's words are not polite, because they are indeed true. Whether it's Princess Shirahoshi, Robin, Shaki, or Yamato, each has its own characteristics. In his eyes, they are all people with their own unique personalities. Shaki and Yamato heard Levi praising Princess Shirahoshi, pouting their little lips and looking up at the ceiling. Golden Lion also regained his serious and unsmiling expression. Rayleigh glanced at Levi meaningfully. He thought to himself, he is indeed the man I believe can become the Pirate King. Sure enough, he is the one who can inherit the will of Roger, the Pirate King. Rayleigh, I'm old. If that day comes sooner or later, Princess Shirahoshi's destiny will definitely be cured. Advertisement. So what if I can't protect Princess Shirahoshi? I believe that with the two people's intentions at this time, Levi should be able to succeed him. Originally, Rayleigh did not expect this step. When seeing this scene, he felt that it must be God's will. Some things are doomed, and fate has already secretly written out the beginning and outcome of the matter. For example, the birth of Princess Shirahoshi was predicted, and it was also destined that she became one of the three great weapons in ancient times. And the fact that her weapon will influence the fate of the world is the result. As for what happened in the meantime and who was there to protect her, it was because fate was not written. And this process is coming to fruition because of what happened today. Please give me flowers. The encounter between Mermaid Princess Shirahoshi and Levi may bring more changes. In the future, if that period of history that changed the world is recorded again, it will be a highlight. Advertisement. As soon as Neptune finished speaking, the whole room became quiet again. Neptune suddenly remembered that he had been struggling with whether to answer Levi's question about historical inscriptions. Looking at the suddenly quiet air, that tension resurfaced in his heart. On the other hand, Rayleigh had long wanted to explain to Neptune. Just because Princess Shirahoshi suddenly broke in, there was no time to say anything. After what happened just now, he felt that he had to explain quickly. So Rayleigh stood up and walked towards Neptune. Neptune had some doubts about Rayleigh taking Levi to find the historical monument. At this time, seeing Rayleigh suddenly walking towards him, the suspicion in his heart became even more serious. He thought to himself, is he asking me for help? But Rayleigh always had that calm smile on her face. 312. Calm. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Neptune had a look of confusion on his face. At the same time, he also noticed that Levi didn't seem to make any movement, but a trace of surprise flashed across his face. Even this expression is fleeting. Obviously Rayleigh's move was not what Levi expected. After a while, Rayleigh came over and whispered something in Neptune's ear. Although Levi doesn't know what Rayleigh is talking to you, 817, and the two of them are old friends anyway. When I said these words, I didn't let myself go out, but just said them quietly. Obviously, he didn't regard himself as an outsider. It shouldn't be a bad thing. Levi sat beside them, observing their expressions. Advertisement. As Rayleigh's lips trembled slightly in his ear. Neptune's face showed an expression of surprise and disbelief for a moment. After a while, he seemed to have heard something terrible and frowned. The expression on his face changed many times, and finally showed an expression of relief. Levi found that Rayleigh always had that calm smile on her face. Even when whispering to Neptune, there was no change in his expression. From the look on Rayleigh's face, she even thought that he was talking to Neptune about something unimportant, or even some common things. Of course, what Levi doesn't know is that Rayleigh has reached another stage of indifference in life. That old man has been prosperous and lonely in his life. He not only followed the great pirate King Roger across the seven seas, but also worked as a coding master on the unknown Sabayati Island, chatting and laughing with the pirates who came and went. Advertisement. He has already experienced the joys and sorrows of life. As a pirate, he has also received the highest honor that can be obtained. Then, it is time for him to realize the value of his life. And his value is to find the person who he believes can inherit the will of Roger, the Pirate King. He has already done this, found Levi. Protect Princess Shirahoshi, who will play a huge role in changing the world in the future. Apart from these, everything seemed calm to him. Levi can't understand Rayleigh's emotions yet. After all, Levi was already at a high point when he was born. As soon as he debuted, Reiatsu was enough to crush everyone in the audience. Advertisement. Levi is still in his prime and has not experienced the ups and downs of Rayleigh, so it is naturally impossible for him to know all this. But maybe one day in the future, after that important thing happens, Levi will naturally realize it. And when that day is over, Levi will be as calm as Rayleigh, the old man with white hair and beard in front of him. But on Neptune's face, Levi clearly saw his expression, which had changed countless times. It was obvious that this was something that shocked him and was extremely important. And it seems to be related to something he cares about very much. Levi could even see the flash of sadness and shock in Neptune's eyes. These small expressions that are difficult to detect are fleeting on Neptune's face. This is not how deep this person's character is. But just after I heard a shocking news, an even bigger news came immediately. One after another, countless things that subverted his cognition came out in one fell swoop. 313. There was a little accident. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Under the great joy and sorrow, Neptune was calm and indifferent. After a while, Rayleigh stood up from his bent body. Neptune, my old friend. How is it? Have you decided? Then, Rayleigh sat back down in her original position. But Neptune didn't seem to have come out of the emotions just now. He thought for a while and said nothing. After a while, he said, Master Levi, the historical inscription is indeed here. But there was a little accident. What? Levi was a little surprised. He was still guessing that with the relationship between Rayleigh and Neptune, everything today should go smoothly. But as soon as these words came out, Levi couldn't help but become suspicious. Advertisement. He never imagined that such a thing could happen. Etc. What accident was he talking about? Could it be that someone has already taken the first step? Levi stared blankly at Rayleigh, who was sitting next to him with a calm expression. But as if Rayleigh didn't want to answer Levi's words, she lowered her head and took a sip of the tea on the table. Well, that's it, Master Levi, don't get excited. This inscription originally had two pieces on the Fishman Island. Neptune began to explain slowly. But before he could finish speaking, Levi interrupted him. I know this. Only the red piece can indicate the route into Raftel. Levi knew this a long time ago, and he planned to take away the red piece when he came this time. Advertisement. Just take it back and give it to Robin to interpret, and you're done. But now listening to Nipton's tone, it seems that the most important red piece is fine at all, and it should be the black piece that had a little accident. It doesn't matter, I just want the red one. At this point, Upton glanced at Lei Shang. Obviously Levi should know something about what Rayleigh told him just now. But what Levi said just now, why did he seem to know nothing? Rayleigh never put down the teacup she was holding. This tea tastes good, huh, you say what you want, don't look at me. When Levi saw the situation, it was obvious that Rayleigh didn't want to deal with this. But didn't you say it well when you came here before? Why is he pretending now? Advertisement. In fact, Rayleigh already knew that there was something wrong with the inscription on the Fishman Island. In Sabayati Archipelago, a place where the Fishman Island must be coded, he naturally has countless sources of information. One of the pieces was stolen by a group of people on a dark and stormy night. Now the other three pieces are in Levi's hands, only that piece is in the hands of the group of people. This has no impact on the overall progress of the matter. So he 010 didn't take this matter seriously. Besides, even if they can get the inscription, without the people to interpret it, the inscription will be nothing more than a piece of scrap metal in their hands. What's more, the world only knows that by collecting 4 red historical inscriptions, the group can show the route to Raftel. Little did he know that it would be useless if he didn't find the black inscription with a letter of apology. Of course, they don't know that they need to prepare a lot of things before entering. Even someone as strong as the 4 emperors, or even as strong as Levi, would not be able to enter there unprepared. 314. The person who stole the inscription. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Just now, Rayleigh was in Neptune's ear and told him all the stakes, including Levi's mission. And tell him that Levi is a person you can trust. If anything happens to Rayleigh in the future, Levi will be the only person he can trust. So if you have anything to say, you can tell Levi directly. But obviously Neptune didn't remember clearly what he just said. Levi was as anxious as an ant on a hot pot, and felt a little on pins and needles. Except for Golden Lion's face, the expressions in the entire room remained unchanged. Even Shaki and Yamato had their eyes widened with expressions of disbelief. They watched Robin on the boat every day, fascinated by the 3 red stones. And Levi often talked with Robin all night long about these stones. Advertisement. Although they didn't quite understand it, they also realized that this thing seemed to be very important to Levi. It's not enough to just have the red piece together, you have to have the black piece, and now it's the black piece that's missing. Levi didn't take Neptune's words seriously. I don't need the black one. Levi was a little confused. He thought to himself, what happened to this guy Neptune? Why are you always messing around? No, you need it. Many people don't know about this. I thought. As Neptune spoke, his eyes drifted to Rayleigh's face again, and he swallowed the words that came to his lips. Levi is now paying attention to Neptune's expression and changes. Some of his emotions were affected by what Neptune said. Follow his eyes and look over. Advertisement. It's that old man Rayleigh drinking tea again. Are you two exchanging glances? What's going on? Why don't I understand? I think Rayleigh must know this. I don't know why he didn't tell you. Levi picked up the teapot from the table and added another cup of tea to Rayleigh's cup. The steaming tea emitted white smoke. A hint of tea fragrance is refreshing. This tea is really good. It must be a rare thing. Levi, don't you try it. Hey, I said Rayleigh, we are talking about the red inscription now. Don't tell me about tea, okay? 3 black lines were drawn on Levi's head, and he became a little excited. What happened to this old man today? Could it be that Neptune's hemming and hawing and incomprehensible look was something he learned from him? Advertisement. Why are you talking about drinking tea? How can he be in the mood to drink tea now? When I heard that it was not enough to just find the red historical inscription, I also had to get the lost black piece. Levi was already extremely anxious. He was even more surprised when he heard Neptune say that Rayleigh also knew about this. This guy actually didn't tell Levi when he came, which made Levi a little angry. He has known the old man Levi for a long time, and the two of them have a good relationship. If he had spoken earlier, he would not have fallen into this situation like an ignorant person. Rayleigh already knew who probably stole the inscription. The information has already been revealed from the chatter of the pirates in the Sabayati archipelago. It's just that there's no way to determine the right based on these remarks alone. He already had a suspect in mind. 315. The mystery in tea leaves. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Rayleigh has already noticed it, but needs to go to the Fishman Island for a final confirmation. From the moment he entered the room and Neptune brought the tea, Rayleigh had already noticed something was wrong. The Fishman Island is located in a remote location, and the supplies available are extremely limited. Xiaoba, who opened a shop here before, had never sold this kind of tea in his shop. This kind of tea only comes from one place and was originally exclusive to the Celestial Dragons. The current trade transactions are also controlled by both Marine and Celestial Dragons. Although now their power has been attacked by Levi and is not as strong as usual. But because of this, they probably came up with Raftel's idea. Advertisement. 983 wants to regain its former glory. But why they only stole the black piece and not the red one surprised him a little. He is ready to find the answer here on the Fishman Island. Seeing how anxious Levi was, Rayleigh put down the cup of tea in his hand and handed the cup in front of Levi to him. You'll know after one sip. It's really good. My old friend Neptune, haven't you tried it yet? Rayleigh held the cup of tea in front of Levi. Out of politeness, Levi couldn't help but take the call, so he took it. But holding it in my hand, I still find it difficult to swallow. He really wasn't in the mood to think about these miscellaneous things right now. Neptune sighed. Advertisement. I have never liked these things. In the entire the Fishman Island, these things are not what our residents like on a daily basis. They are only used when entertaining human guests. Oh, where did it come from? Rayleigh's eyes suddenly became sharp. It seems to be on some kind of island, but I don't know for sure. I just heard that this stuff is extremely rare. In the past, it could only be drunk from Marines and Kylong people. Neptune thought for a moment and added another sentence. Oh, by the way, I'm afraid only someone above Admiral can own this. Levi listened to the conversation between the two people, and his eyes moved involuntarily to the teacup. CBED. He was a little restless just now and couldn't tell there was anything special about this tea. At this time, he put his nose hard against the teacup and sniffed. A strange fragrance seemed to have entered his brain from his nose and made several turns in his body, creating an inexplicable pleasure. Levi became interested in the tea in front of him for the first time. Advertisement. But after all, Levi is not a person who chews slowly and enjoys tea every day. He picked it up and took a sip, then tilted his neck and poured it into his mouth. But after drinking it this time, there was no special feeling. It even feels like it's not much different from what he drinks in restaurants around the world. Apart from the aroma that can be smelled through the nose, there is no freshness in taste. Neptune and Rayleigh continued to talk. The topic still hasn't left those noble tea leaves. At this time, Shaki and Yamato, who were standing behind Levi, listened to these two people talking about those topics, but they became interested. Much more serious than Levi. Your Majesty King Neptune, Yamato leaned forward and saluted. Are you saying that the appearance of the tea leaves and the disappearance of the black inscription happened in tandem? Rayleigh's ears moved slightly. 316. Weird Trader. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Ha ha ha, no one has ever called me that. Since we are all friends of Rayleigh and Levi, don't be so polite. Neptune felt a little embarrassed when he looked at this tall woman with long gradient hair parted in the middle and wearing a sleeveless kimono. Ah, seriously, that's true. The conversation between Yamato and Neptune just now aroused Levi's interest. He was stunned for a moment and glanced at Rayleigh. Did this guy already know this? Judging from his usually calm demeanor, I thought he wouldn't be thinking about anything. But the black inscription was missing. It was really puzzling that he was still so calm about such a big matter. Oh, do you remember what that person looks like? How many people came? Levi kept staring at Rayleigh, but found that this guy's eyes had become sharp unknowingly. Advertisement. There is no longer the calmness of the slightly squinting smile just now. Sure enough, he became serious. Question mark. He thought to himself, no wonder the old man Rayleigh kept letting him drink tea. Do you want him to drink this tea and taste it from this place of origin? Can we find the murderer who stole the black inscription? Actually, this matter has to start with Princess Yuxing. Did you see the earrings she was wearing just now? This tea was given to her by the group of people who came to sell trinkets. Levi recalled it and seemed to have seen it before. But I just looked at the whole thing and didn't pay attention to these small details. Shaki is a girl after all, and she just studied Princess Shirahoshi's clothes. Is it the shell one? It's very beautiful. I thought it was produced by the Fishmen Island. Advertisement. Not really. So Neptune told Levi and Rayleigh about an incident that happened a few months ago. Because the Fishmen Island is located in a remote area, there are few people coming and going, so when they meet outsiders, they treat them warmly. Whether they are doing business or visiting, they all welcome them with the greatest enthusiasm for human beings. Since Captain Vanderdecken X could no longer do evil on the Fishmen Island, the place has returned to its former peace. Most of the humans who usually come to trade bring food or clothes with them, and occasionally weapons and the like. All are harpoons. Please give me flowers. Princess Shirahoshi, who has always liked humans, would often wander around trading places, looking for gadgets that made her excited. Our Princess Shirahoshi saw a few people selling beautiful earrings, so she stepped forward to take a look. I couldn't put it down after just one look. Advertisement. 00. Asterisk 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 asterisk. In addition, those few people were eloquent, which made Princess Shirahoshi laugh. I bought a lot in one go. And although those gadgets were made of shells and fish bones, they were not the same as those produced by the Fishmen Island, so Shirahoshi found it even more novel. But those people said that Princess Shirahoshi gave too much and insisted on giving more gifts. When Princess Shirahoshi came back, she gave this to Neptune, saying it was reserved for entertaining guests. The next day, when Shirahoshi wanted to go to the port to look for them again, he found that those people were missing. Princess Shirahoshi was a little sad at first, but she forgot about it after a few days. At that time, Neptune looked at the tea leaves and remembered that he had seen it at the World Summit, and he felt something bad in his heart. 317. Joy Boy's Letter. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. When Neptune said this, Levi couldn't help but ask, are you talking about the kind of meeting that the world government invites monarchs from 50 countries to the Holy Land Mariajoy every 4 years? Yes, that's it. I used to participate. I even sent Princess Shirahoshi to participate once. Neptune then continued to tell stories from the past. In this entire pirate world, there is no need to mention the 643 countries in the 4 sea areas of East, West, North and South. The Grand Line alone has the most participating countries. There are also some countries that don't know where their coordinates are, but they will also participate. Many years ago, Princess Shirahoshi was not yet born. Once, when he went to attend the meeting, he met the king of a small country holding this kind of tea. Later, that person was targeted by people from Celestial Dragons and Naval Headquarters. Advertisement. After that they started trading with each other. But 4 years later, the king of that small country never came to the World Government Conference again. The organizers did not say clearly whether this country withdrew like the Germa Kingdom or disappeared without a trace. In short, no one knows where the king of this small country has gone. But several times later, when Neptune went to attend world government meetings, this tea only appeared around a few admirals in Celestial Dragons and Naval Headquarters. That day, when Neptune looked at the tea sent by Princess Shirahoshi, he began to feel uneasy. He even sent a few of his men to look for the ships on which the traders were traveling. I once went around the trading place and asked about the origins of this group of people. But no one said they had seen them. Others had no impression of them either. Advertisement. What everyone can tell about their physical characteristics is that they are the same as those of ordinary businessmen. After that, Neptune let go of these things. Until soon it will be Princess Shirahoshi's birthday. As soon as her birthday came, Neptune couldn't help but think of what Roger, the Pirate King, once said. So he would go to a secret place and take out the 2 historical inscriptions to see things and think about people. It was at this time that I discovered that the black historical inscription was missing. Actually, I only heard the Pirate King Roger say that the inscription on that tablet was an apology letter written by a person named Tianyboy, but I couldn't understand it at all. At this point, Neptune spread his hands helplessly. Levi became interested. He had never heard of the existence of a black historical inscription. Joy Boy, who is that? Advertisement. Rayleigh took over the conversation this time. He told Levi what information he could reveal. This man exists in that blank 100 years of history. Joy Boy made an agreement with the mermaid princess back then, but unfortunately he couldn't fulfill it in the end. So he wrote this apology letter. And it is permanently saved at 0.1 in the Fishman Island. Moreover, Roger, the Pirate King, once lamented that it would be great if he could be born in the same world as this person named Xiao Yibo. Of course, Rayleigh knew exactly what Roger, the Pirate King, lamented. It's just that it's not the right time yet to talk about it. Everyone thought there was some treasure in Raftel, but that was just a rumor. 318. The scope seems to be narrowed. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. In other words, few people should know about this matter. Then I think the scope of this group of people should be narrowed. Levi and Rayleigh have known each other for so long that they have never heard of this incident. So how did those who stole the black historical inscriptions know about this? Or who did you hear this from? You're right, Levi, I didn't even think of this. I just went after them everywhere, but I still couldn't find any clues. Rayleigh heard the key information from what they just said. In other words, this group of people either came to the Fishman Island without using the coding method. That's why I can hide it from many people without even realizing it. Or even if they did coding, they used very ordinary ships. So much so that among the many coded boats that Rayleigh has handled, they seem nothing special and extremely ordinary. Advertisement. But this tea gave him a new clue. Once, he smelled a strange fragrance on a man who came to him for coding. At that time, he asked too much. Ask them if they are in the spice trade. The group of people immediately nodded in recognition. But after they left, they realized that it was not the smell of spices at all. It is the taste that can only be found in the extremely rare tea leaves that are rumored to be controlled by the Admiral of Celestial Dragons and Naval Headquarters. This kind of tea leaves are very special and cannot be smelled when dry unless brewed with water. At that time, in order to confirm this matter, Rayleigh hurriedly checked the news about storms in Sabayati Island in recent days. After this investigation, it turned out that at a resting place 500 kilometers away from Sabayati, it rained heavily for several days and nights. Advertisement. The tea they loaded should have been wet at this time, so it gave off that smell. This group of people then came to the Fishman Island and stole the black historical inscription. If we want to find this group of people, the clues here at the Fishman Island have been cut off. Then we have to go to that place, 500 kilometers away from Sabayati Island, to investigate the clues. Rayleigh was lost in thought for a moment. Levi called him next to him, but he didn't even hear him. Uncle Rayleigh, what are you thinking about? After hearing Levi's words, Rayleigh came back to his senses. It's nothing. If that's the case, let's get out of here first. Aren't you going to take that red historical inscription with you? No, don't take them away yet. Under the current circumstances, if you don't know who this group of people who stole the historical inscriptions are, it's better to let them disperse for the time being. Advertisement. Levi had just listened to 357 Neptune tell all the stories. At this time, he had a thought in his mind, and then said, before I leave, I want to see Princess Shirahoshi again. Oh, could it be? Rayleigh's eyes narrowed again, and he stroked the short beard on his chin. Levi understood Rayleigh's meaningful look. Yes, I think the same thing as you. Shaki and Yamato didn't say much at first. But at this time, when he heard that Levi was going to see Princess Shirahoshi, he became a little jealous again. And it seems Rayleigh knows what's going on. But what the two people said was like playing a charade, leaving them confused. 319. He hesitated to speak. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. What are you doing with Shirahoshi? He has no idea about these things. Neptune didn't mind Levi and Rayleigh getting close to Princess Shirahoshi. However, he was a little worried that the two of them would tell Princess Shirahoshi something about the fate that Princess Shirahoshi didn't know about in advance. He hoped that it would be best for Princess Shirahoshi to know nothing until that day really comes. He spent his childhood and youth carefree. This is Neptune's only wish as a father. Rayleigh seemed to see through Neptune's mind. Don't worry, it's not what you think. Yes, we would never say that in advance. Advertisement. With the assurances of Rayleigh and Levi, Neptune told them about the current whereabouts of Princess Shirahoshi. I think Princess Shirahoshi should go out now. It's on the street of the Fishman Island. You can go look for it. Levi and Rayleigh saluted Neptune again and said goodbye. Then he summoned Shaki, Yamato, and Golden Lion and left the palace of the Fishman Island together. Coming to the street, the crowd that disappeared after Levi and the others entered the palace appeared again. As the door of the Fishman Palace slowly opened, people on the street greeted Levi and the others as if they had seen something new. I heard that this is Levi, who is handsome and has a more powerful fighting record than the four emperors. It's incredible. I originally thought he was a rough guy in his 30s or 40s. I didn't expect him to be so handsome. Oh, the few people standing next to him are really lucky to be able to follow someone like Levi. Advertisement. Yes, I have been to so many sea areas for trading. I have been to the Grand Line several times. I have never seen Levi in person. It's really not easy to meet Levi on the Fishman Island. As a resident of the Fishman Island, I feel so lucky to be a mermaid. Levi felt a little embarrassed when he heard the whispers and words spoken loudly by passers-by. It was also the first time for Shaki and Yamato to hear those exaggerated words about Levi from everyone's mouth. The two couldn't help but cover their mouths and laugh. Rayleigh still looked calm, as if all this was normal. Levi, you have to get used to this situation as soon as possible. Otherwise, in the future. Rayleigh was able to speak smoothly for a moment, and quickly swallowed half of what he said. In fact, this is what he is thinking about now. Advertisement. One day in the future, Levi inherits the legacy of Pirate King Roger and arrives at Raftel. It's time to reveal the historical truth of the world that has disappeared for 100 years. This sound of cheering and discussion will always accompany Levi wherever he goes. Just get used to it in advance today. But he, Wang Zhao, spoke so smoothly that he almost said the second half. The time has not come yet, we can't let Levi know in advance. Levi noticed that Rayleigh stopped talking midway through his words, so he asked curiously. What are you talking about? What future? Because the noise from passers-by was too loud, neither Shachi nor Yamato noticed what Rayleigh was saying. They only listened intently to the voices of passers-by praising Levi. 320. A fleeting shadow. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Shaki and Yamato didn't respond at all to Levi's question at this time. When Rayleigh saw this scene, she simply pretended to be confused. Levi, did you hear it wrong? It must have been what a passerby said. Why is it that your ears are thicker than mine at such a young age, haha. Speaking of Levi, before, I only thought that Rayleigh was a person who liked to drink and brag and tell stories with other pirates when he had nothing to do. So today he saw how shrewd and capable Rayleigh was, who once served as Pirate King Roger's subordinate. Levi doesn't believe it. Rayleigh didn't say anything just now. But this guy obviously doesn't want to say anything now. In this case, Levi didn't want to ask any more questions. Advertisement. He believed that after finding those who stole the historical inscriptions and collecting all the historical inscriptions, Rayleigh would 733 tell everything. It's not yet time to ask him anything, and he probably won't be able to say anything. Well, that's probably true. Maybe I really heard wrong. Levi simply followed Rayleigh's lead and pretended to be confused. They walked forward on the streets of the Fishman Island, continuing to search for the whereabouts of Princess Shirahoshi. You've been walking for so long and you still haven't found him. This woman really doesn't know what she is running around for every day. Yeah, I've never walked so much before. I'm so tired. Shaki and Yamato complained a little, CBCI. In fact, the two of them were not really tired. As people with considerable fighting ability, how could they consume so much energy after walking so far? They were just a little unhappy. Levi seemed to be staring at Princess Shirahoshi all the time. Advertisement. Just Robin, not only has the ability to interpret historical Uyghur texts, but he is also so good looking that he compares the two of them. If there is another mermaid Princess Shirahoshi, there will be no hope for the two of them. Of course, Levi couldn't possibly know their little thoughts. Hey, let me tell you, you two were not like this before. I remember the last time we went to a certain port, you did a lot of shopping. Ah ha ha ha, is there one? I don't remember it. Yeah, I don't remember this happening either. Shaki and Yamato quickly denied these things. In fact, what Levi said does exist. That day, Shaki and Yamato seemed to have infinite energy. If Levi hadn't been there to stop him, they might have bought the entire island. Rayleigh looked at the three young people in front of him laughing and playing, and it reminded him of the days when he got along with the Pirate King Roger. Advertisement. Although those days, every 10 days are full of danger and endless challenges. But that time was the happiest time for him. It's not about the glory of being the first deputy of the Pirate King, but the friendship with friends. Rayleigh was even a little envious of Levi. If it weren't for his old age, he would rather bear this fate himself. Although Levi is also the chosen one, Levi's future journey will be full of difficulties and obstacles. Rayleigh was a little lost in thought. Suddenly, I saw a familiar figure at the end of a street. He stopped quickly and stopped walking forward. When Levi and others saw this scene, they also stopped. What's wrong? Did you find anything? 321. The man wearing fish man's skin. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Levi followed Rayleigh's gaze and looked forward, but saw nothing. It's just that this street is different from the bustling street they walked through just now. It seemed particularly quiet. I think this place should be a sparsely populated place. But that's fine, at least I won't hear those embarrassing comments anymore. It's nothing. I think it's somewhere nearby. Let's have a look. Rayleigh felt that the figure that flashed past was indeed a mermaid, but not the mermaid Princess Shirahoshi. Without the threat of Captain Vanderdecken Ix, the Fishman Island should be a peaceful place. Advertisement. How could someone be so sneaky in such a secluded place? Of course, this thought only flashed through his mind. He was not sure that it must be what he thought. They kept walking forward and came to the street where the figure disappeared just now. Rayleigh couldn't help but look forward. Although Levi didn't come to Mermaid very often, he still recognized this place. I seem to have been to this place before. You can go directly to the port from here. It's a small road. Very few people usually walk on it. Then Levi told Rayleigh how he discovered this road before. A few days ago, Levi came to the Fishman Island because of something. But at that time, he didn't know anyone here. And he didn't come here for trade, so he needed to hide his whereabouts. In order to find a way to avoid other people's sight, he walked aimlessly towards a place with few people. Advertisement. That's how I discovered this path. When he finally left Mermaid Island, he also took this road. At that time, those who came with Levi did not notice where Levi went. They even took the risk of looking for him everywhere, but they couldn't find him. You mean, if you walk to the port along this path, you can avoid many people's eyes, right? That's right. Anyway, they said they searched for me in the Fishman Island but couldn't find me. Who would have thought that I would be hiding in such a small road, haha. As soon as Levi finished speaking, it suddenly dawned on him. Could it be that the traders who stole the historical inscriptions also started from this path? Asking for flowers. They went to Princess Shirahoshi to ask if there were any more clues. Currently, Princess Shirahoshi is quarreling with her father Nipton because of some things. Advertisement. So there may be some things that a 16-year-old girl doesn't want to say to her father. Therefore, as a communication between young people, I hope to get more clues from the common princess. Now it seems that although Princess Shirahoshi has not been found yet, the clues are getting clearer. Levi and the others walked forward along this road. Among the few people, except Golden Lion, who showed no expression, everyone else had some doubts. Under the wall of a secluded house, Levi found a ball of something thrown on the ground. The entire streets of the Fishman Island are very clean, but this thing seems particularly awkward. Levi couldn't help but pick it up. What is this? It's colorful, and it feels comfortable to touch. Let me take a look. Shaki said and opened the thing from the other side. Why does it look so familiar? Ah, is this on the fish man's skin? 322. Suspect. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. These hateful guys. Levi became a little aggrieved. Ever since Captain Vanderdyken X was dealt with, there has been peace and tranquility on the Fishman Island. Nothing so sensational has ever happened. Who would attack these kind-hearted fish people? Each fishman looks different and is quite large. The person who did this thing on the Fishman 093 Island without anyone noticing was obviously both ruthless and cunning. Ah, yes, no wonder Neptune didn't find any strange traders. Did they walk on the Fishman Island in the form of fishmen when they escaped? But that doesn't make sense. If that's the case, there's no need for them to appear as traders. Instead, they should always appear as fishmen. Wouldn't this be more concealed? Advertisement. Levi questioned what Yamato said. Shaki on the side, although he didn't speak, couldn't help but think about it. What would this fish human skin look like on a person? Murlocs walk differently than humans. Just imitating the way that tail moves would make people suspicious. Let me see. Rayleigh took the lump from Levi and Yamato's hands. At first glance, this does indeed look like the skin of a fishman. But it wasn't obtained from a living fishman, it was more like an imitation. As the person who followed Roger, the Pirate King, across the 7 seas, he has seen all kinds of strange things. Even when he first looked at it, he didn't think it was real. It was obvious that the craftsmanship of this imitation was very skillful. Advertisement. This thing is fake. What? You mean this is man-made? Indeed, there are probably no more than 3 or 4 people in the entire pirate world who can have such good means. Who is it? Levi hates to see things like this that attack weak and innocent people. What's more, although this person did not take action against the fish people in the end. But it is unforgivable for him to imitate the skin of a fish man and let bad guys wear it and then board the Fishman Island to do bad things. How could such a thing be allowed to happen under his rule? What's more, these guys stole a historical inscription. Either he wants to use Raftel's things in advance to do evil, or he wants to continue to cover up the missing 100 years of history. In any case, its despicable intentions are outrageous. Advertisement. The first person to be suspicious is probably Guy Sakurang, who owns Gas Fruit. Are you talking about the person who experimented on children on Punk Hazard Island? And the person who attacked the Fur tribe on Zo Island and helped them perpetrate their crimes? Levi had indeed heard of this man, but he had never seen him. But I have heard many stories about him. Although this person has done many evil things, his conscience has not been lost. I heard that Guy Sakuran's last 4.5 research work was about devil fruit. But after that, no one knew whether he succeeded or not. I never saw this person again. But it must have been unsuccessful, otherwise the world would be full of artificial devil fruit. The entire pirate world is in chaos. Yes, it's him. But this person has disappeared for a long time, and his level is not the best. 323. Deliberately showing off. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Then who was the second one? Levi had heard about Guy Sakuran and had always been jealous of the #1 scientist. I always feel that I can surpass him in strength, but I haven't seen any results from him after tinkering for a long time. Levi had heard that person's name a few times. But it seems a bit difficult to pronounce, so he can't remember it now. Although this person rarely appears, he is said to be a scientist who is said to be 500 years beyond human wisdom. This person has a close relationship with the four emperors, once helped the naval headquarters, and is inextricably linked to the world government. I heard that the Bartholomew 21 bear in Shichibukai was transformed into a living human weapon by him. It seems that it is very possible that he intends to attack the historical inscriptions. Advertisement. Are you talking about Dr. Vegapunk? Oh, Levi, have you tried him too? Yes, I heard that this person is very powerful, but he is not very common. Rayleigh does know a bit about the story of Vegapunk, who rarely appears. When he was young, he discovered the blueprint for life and became a thorn in the side of the world government, who arrested him. But in fact this person is controlled by the world government and has to work for them. He did study the human gigantism experiment and discovered the blood factor. And successfully created the first artificial devil fruit, and also created a virus-proof suit. But he should still look down on the thankless task of imitating fish human skin, right? Although the craftsmanship is very exquisite, if it was made by Dr. Vegapunk, then the fish man's skin should have other high-tech functions attached to it. Advertisement. I don't think it's his style. Who else could it be? I only know these two people. There is another person, Vinsmoke Kaji. Did he also work with Dr. Vegapunk? Levi had heard of this man. As a pirate of the Germa 66 group, he is also the overlord of the North Blue. Later, for unknown reasons, this person withdrew from the world government meeting. But little is known about his technology. Yes, Dr. Vegapunk's blood factor technology was researched by him. But if he did it, he would also use some high-tech technology. It wouldn't be that simple. Then who was the other person? Advertisement. Levi found that the three people they were talking about seemed to have been rejected by Rayleigh. When Rayleigh talked about these people, it was more like he already knew who they were, but in order to avoid being questioned by Levi himself, he led them step by step to find out the answer. The fourth one is naturally Poison Q. Is it the ship's doctor of the Blackbeard pirates? 463. Levi remembered that this man had the title of Shinigami, but he always looked sick. It seemed that he could die anytime, anywhere, and even the horse he was riding was as thin and sick as he was. The last time he appeared was in Mogu Town, and it is said that he also appeared during the Summit War. But Levi also participated in the Summit War at the time and did not see him. That's right. These four people all have such strength, but their methods of doing things are not like them. Uncle Rayleigh, who do you think is more suitable? I think you already have the answer. 324. Princess Shirahoshi in the Night. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Rayleigh showed his signature plain smile again, and he was not in a hurry to answer Levi's question. Instead, he turned his head and looked deeper into the alley. Levi thought to himself, this guy Rayleigh is starting to show off again. Wouldn't it be better to say it directly? This way we can have a goal. If I find out who it is, I will definitely take back the historical inscription. In fact, the reason why Rayleigh didn't take the initiative to tell the answer was because he wanted to temper Levi's will. At the same time, we also want Levi to grow better. Only in this way can we be fully prepared when that time comes in the future. You know, the journey to Raftel is not just a route in the physical sense, but also a spiritual journey for those who want to become the Pirate King. Levi is successful at a young age, and his combat prowess is extremely strong. The requirements have already been met in this regard. Advertisement. However, growth in other aspects seems to be lacking. Seeing Levi gearing up, he felt a little impulsive. Rayleigh is even more convinced that his method is correct. Young people, don't be impulsive. Levi, let's keep going forward and see if there are any other discoveries. Shaki and Yamato don't know anything about these things. It just hurts to see Levi getting anxious. In their usual impression, Levi is so superior. Travel throughout the pirate world. But I didn't expect that he would also have unsatisfactory times. And this dissatisfaction had nothing to do with his own desires. Rather, it was related to the fish men who had nothing to do with his interests. This noble spirit deeply moved Shaki and Yamato. Advertisement. Okay, you're right, maybe there are more clues ahead. When Rayleigh saw Levi was so smart, he listened to him as soon as he persuaded him. Rayleigh became even happier. I am becoming more and more fond of this young man Levi. Those who want to achieve great things not only need to have hard power, but also need to be open-minded and accept correct opinions. Obviously Levi met the conditions, and he was indeed right. Several people continued walking along this street. The further you go, the darker the surrounding environment becomes. Compared with the lively Murloc streets outside, this place seems more like another world. If the outside scene is a pure paradise, then this place is like the dark side of the Fishmen Island. Rayleigh knew that given the characters of kind-hearted Neptune and Princess Shirahoshi, they would never allow this place to exist. I'm afraid they don't know this place. Advertisement. If they knew, they would definitely do something here. This shows that the existence and appearance here is not long, and there are no big actions. That's why he was able to hide it from Neptune and Princess Shirahoshi, who love their people like their own children. As they walked farther and farther, several people felt that the nearby street lights began to dim. Even the lights flashed back and forth frequently, as if it was in disrepair. There is a huge figure in the distance, squatting under the light. Princess Shirahoshi. Levi recognized the figure as soon as he saw it. After what he had just experienced, Levi felt that the surrounding environment was extremely dangerous. Worried that something might happen to Princess Shirahoshi, he couldn't help but scream from a distance. But why does the princess of the majestic Fishman Palace appear here? Princess Shirahoshi also recognized the voice, and it was the Levi he had seen before. 325. This scene is so embarrassing. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Although Princess Shirahoshi met Levi and his group for the first time. But I have a very fond impression of Levi. But I still feel that when I see Levi, I will blush and feel a little ashamed. That's why he ran out alone. But after she ran out, countless people on the street looked at her blushing face, which made her even more embarrassed. She ran towards a place with fewer people. But before I knew it, I came to this quiet alley. And she also noticed a figure passing in front of her eyes. A woman's sixth sense told her that something was wrong. So, she moved her huge body and finally rushed over. Advertisement. But I found that the figure actually dropped a bunch of things in a hurry and disappeared. Princess Shirahoshi didn't have time to take a closer look, so she quickly continued to catch up. 277. When she arrived at the entrance of the alley, a fishman suddenly rushed out and bumped into her, knocking Princess Shirahoshi to the ground. Just after such a short delay, the figure and the fishman who bumped into her disappeared. Princess Shirahoshi finally got up and looked around, but she only saw a ball of fishman skin under the road. She couldn't help but look a little dumbfounded. The figure that escaped just now was obviously a human being. She has always liked humans, but she never thought how humans could do such terrible things to fishmen. She felt that her mind was very confused, and she was stunned under the light while holding this piece of human skin in her hand. At this time, Princess Shirahoshi heard Levi calling her. Levi is human too. Advertisement. But Levi is definitely not such a person. At this time, Princess Shirahoshi felt extremely aggrieved. She didn't have time to think too much. Full of grievances, she pinched the fisherman's skin and ran towards Levi. He suddenly fell into Levi's arms and started sobbing softly. How could this be? Oh my god. Woo woo woo. But Princess Shirahoshi forgot her huge size. Although she wanted to find Levi for comfort, she suddenly pushed Levi to the ground. Lying on the ground, Levi felt that his whole body was under tremendous pressure, and some CBBC couldn't breathe. Even his whole face was swollen red due to difficulty breathing. He wanted to say something but couldn't make a sound. His entire face was suppressed by the fishman's huge body. Shaki and Yamato were both stunned. At this time, a small idea emerged in the two people's minds. Advertisement. Ah, Princess Shirahoshi is so brave. If the two of us were so proactive, I'm afraid there wouldn't be anything wrong with Robin and Princess Shirahoshi. Shaki and Yamato looked at each other. Both men understood each other's thoughts. Rayleigh was also surprised, but he knew that with Levi's strength, this moment was nothing. He didn't have to worry at all about what would happen to Levi. Rayleigh was looking at the excitement, wagging her short beard and laughing beside her. Although the golden lion on the side has lost most of his consciousness and has been silent and expressionless. But when Levi is in danger, he will step forward. Of course Golden Lion doesn't know these worldly things. I just thought Levi was attacked by someone. In order to protect Levi, he quickly grabbed the clothes on Levi's shoulders with both hands and pulled him out. 326. Incomprehensible style. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. At the same time, the Golden Lion stood in front of Levi. His hands were spread out to protect Levi. It was at this time that Princess Shirahoshi suddenly realized what she had just done. Recalling the scene just now, she felt even more ashamed. She lowered her head, holding the ball of mermaid skin in her hand and covering her face. Ah me. I didn't mean it. No, just me. At this time, Princess Shirahoshi's heart was extremely entangled and contradictory. She could no longer formulate words effectively to explain clearly what had just happened. But she found that the more she explained, the more things seemed to be wrong. Levi's face was also red at this time. He had never had such contact with someone he had only met once. Advertisement. Maybe it happened when I was fighting with people before, but this is completely different. Levi also felt very embarrassed. He first patted Golden Lion on the shoulder. I'm fine, please step back. Golden Lion heard Levi's order and retreated to Levi's side. Then, Levi couldn't help but look up at Princess Shirahoshi. But they saw that her face was covered with the same fish man skin as the day they found it. Did you pick this up too? It turns out there were two people. Princess Shirahoshi didn't know what Levi was talking about. Her mind is a little slow now. Still immersed in those memories just now, unable to extricate myself. Levi. No. Ah. What did you say? That ball in your hand. Is that where you picked it up? At this moment, Princess Shirahoshi remembered what the thing in her hand was. Advertisement. She instantly became sad and told Levi and Rayleigh what she had just experienced. Levi and Rayleigh comforted her. And told her that this was not a real injured fish man, but an artificial imitation product made by some people. Really? Really? Princess Shirahoshi just burst into tears. At this time, I was sobbing continuously and couldn't even speak completely. At first, she didn't believe it. He thought Levi said this to comfort him. But even Rayleigh has the same view. Since both people said so, she couldn't help but believe it. Princess Shirahoshi was happy to hear that her fish man country subjects were not harmed. asking for flowers. But Levi and Rayleigh couldn't answer him. Who are those two people? Advertisement. Yeah, originally we were about to leave here. But suddenly I remembered something, and I wanted to come and ask you. But I didn't want to run into something like this. Princess Shirahoshi can no longer think rationally. She didn't hear the other important points. She only heard that Levi had walked all this way just to find her. Ah, Master Levi, are you here specifically to see me? Yes, I would like to ask you to tell us the story of those traders you met that day. Princess Shirahoshi thought Levi was going to say something else, but it turned out that he came to see her for something. I couldn't help but feel a little disappointed. However, he still opened his mouth and recounted what happened that day. The process she told Levi and Rayleigh this time was no different from the plots Neptune told them. I'm done, can you leave? Master Levi. When Levi heard this, the clue was gone again. Looking at Princess Shirahoshi, her tone suddenly became tough and she wanted to leave. He was a little anxious and picked up the knife. 327. Exciting method. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Hey, wait a minute. After being called by the male protagonist, Princess Shirahoshi stood still. She was secretly thinking, could this guy finally understand what I mean? While Princess Shirahoshi was secretly laughing, the male protagonist walked up to her. Are you sure there is nothing missing from what you just said? Please, can you please think about it again? Princess Shirahoshi originally thought that the male protagonist would speak some other, 660, language. For example, what will happen if you haven't seen her for so long? Or what is your impression of her? Or even just compliment her on the beautiful jewelry she chose today. In short, no matter what it is, as long as it is about herself. But I didn't expect that what the male protagonist said was still related to the things he was anxious about. Advertisement. Since her mother Otahime passed away, she only has her father and brother on the entire the Fishman Island. There are not even any girls of the same age who belong to the royal family. In normal times, several brothers only focus on practicing swordsmanship. One of the reasons why Shirahoshi also wants to practice is so that he and his brother can have more in common. Although she has no interest in those things like fighting and killing, she also wants to increase her relationship with her brother. And her father always had a sad look on his face. Apart from thinking about the important events of the Fishman Island, he rarely had the opportunity to talk to her. Finally, a human being whom she liked very much appeared, but she didn't expect this to be the result. Get out of the way, I'm going back. I really beg you, please think again. The more the male protagonist bothers her about those things, the less she wants to talk to him. Even she couldn't understand it herself. Why do I hate the male protagonist so much at this moment despite having a crush on him? Advertisement. But even though I really want to get rid of the male protagonist now. But I'm looking forward to seeing him next time. This complicated mood is torturing Princess Shirahoshi crazy. Shaki and Yamato, who are also girls, hid nearby and laughed secretly. Originally, they were a little unhappy that the male protagonist always stayed with Robin. I originally thought that the male protagonist only liked Robin and didn't want to talk to them. Sometimes he said some incomprehensible words that made them both angry. But now that they saw the male protagonist like this, they already understood. It turns out that the male protagonist is a straight man who doesn't understand amorous feelings. He can't even see the little thoughts of girls. No wonder Princess Shirahoshi was angry. However, both of them chose to stand by and watch. Advertisement. For this kind of thing, it's best for the two of them to get better and better in class. The two of them don't want another strong competitor to appear. It was Rayleigh who stepped forward to resolve the awkward situation for the hero and Princess Shirahoshi. Mr. Master, just let her go. She really shouldn't be able to remember anything. But, the male protagonist was completely anxious. He thought to himself that it was enough that he couldn't stop Princess Shirahoshi, so why didn't Rayleigh help him? She is not her own enemy, nor can she use her Reiatsu ability to defeat her. It's really troublesome. Stop it. How could he, a little girl, know that people in this world are evil? When she is unprepared, many clues and details are trivial to her, so don't make it difficult for her. The male protagonist looked at Rayleigh blankly, thoughtfully. 328. The lively port of the Fishman Island. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Although Princess Shirahoshi felt that Rayleigh was helping her. However, why do these words sound a bit harsh both inside and outside of them? Snort. Did Uncle Rayleigh look down on me because I am a girl? Don't think that you and your father, King Neptune, are the only ones who know the big things to worry about on the Fishman Island. But it seems that after Rayleigh said this, Princess Shirahoshi really remembered something unusual. She had already ignored the gazes of the male protagonist and Rayleigh and walked towards the Fishman Palace. But suddenly he stopped and turned around. I seem to have remembered something. Really? Advertisement. The male protagonist stood behind blankly, not daring to catch up. He was afraid that when he approached Princess Shirahoshi, she would become silent. 21. Rayleigh's little eyes narrowed again. His move to provoke the general seemed to be effective. As one of the three ancient weapons, Princess Shirahoshi cannot be a weak little princess. The reason why he just said that was to arouse her competitive spirit. It would be useless to force her to say anything at this time. As for the male protagonist, this young man still doesn't know how to win people's hearts through ancient tricks. I won't tell you. Master Rayleigh, I remember that the accents of those people are a bit strange. They are different from those I have seen at World Summit before. Even though Princess Shirahoshi said so, she didn't want to tell the hero. But what she just said was so loud that everyone present heard it. Rayleigh squinted his eyes and smiled. Very good. Thank you very much. Remember to take that fake mermaid skin back to your father Neptune to see. Advertisement. Yes, I understand. The male protagonist stood there blankly and didn't speak. Rayleigh patted the hero's head gently. Hey. I said. Thank you quickly. Oh, thank you. The male protagonist is a little confused. She obviously doesn't want to tell him. Why do I have to thank her? Why is this guy Rayleigh so interested in Princess Shirahoshi? Humph. Let's go. Princess Shirahoshi was very happy to hear the male protagonist's voice, but she still snorted and left. The male protagonist stared blankly in the direction Princess Shirahoshi left. There were 10,000 question marks in his mind. Uncle Rayleigh, what's the matter with her accent just now? Is there someone absent from the World Summit? Indeed, it seems that the scope of the target has been narrowed again. Although the male protagonist still doesn't quite understand. Advertisement. But looking at Rayleigh's scheming look, it seems that everything is in order. He swallowed back the question he wanted to ask. Several people continued walking along the alley and soon arrived at the port. The place is bustling again. Although it is getting late, the lights on the port of the Fishman Island are brightly lit. There is an endless stream of traders coming and going, all soliciting and selling their business. Come and take a look, this is a good thing from the famous Kamabaka Kingdom. Don't miss it when you're passing by. Authentic Dressrosa specialty. Oh, this price is already very cheap. Good things like this don't come around every day. This thing goes very well with fishmen, I'm not going to lie to you. There was a constant stream of hawking sounds in my ears. The male protagonist only felt that the alley just now and the lively scene in front of him were like two worlds. 329. Calm on the surface, but surrounded by dangers. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. The male protagonist looked aimlessly at the goods placed along the street. There are all kinds of colors, which dazzle people. The male protagonist thought that these days, it seems that Shaki and Yamato rarely talk to him. I don't know if I'm a little unhappy. They both like shopping the most, so they said. Shaki, Yamato, see if there's anything you like, just take it back. Oh, by the way, you can't help but bring a gift to Robin. But after he finished speaking, he found that no one responded to him. Hey, you're welcome, just tell me what you like. The male protagonist turned around and saw that Shaki and Yamato had already disappeared. Behind him and Rayleigh were only the Golden Lion. Uncle Rayleigh, Yuan Xian and Yamato are missing. Ah, really? Maybe I'm shopping nearby, don't worry. Advertisement. Although Rayleigh kept comforting the male protagonist. But the male protagonist is still a little worried. From time to time he looked back at the dim alley where they came. I was afraid that there would be some danger if the two of them got lost. Look, isn't it over there? Seeing them shopping like this makes me want to buy something. The male protagonist followed the direction of Rayleigh's finger and saw Shaki and Yamato. The two of them had already made their selections at a stall selling goods in front. The male protagonist was a little angry, and he just wanted to go up and blame them both. Why do you want to leave the team without permission? But was stopped by Rayleigh. Although the Fishman Island is calm on the surface, I feel that there is a crisis hidden under this calmness. Rayleigh suddenly looked serious and lowered his voice. Advertisement. Yes, I think so too. Rayleigh suddenly became so serious, which made the male protagonist a little uncomfortable. Hey, you still say you want to go shopping. Why can't I tell when you are nervous and when you are calm? Haha, young man, you still have a lot to learn. With that said, Rayleigh came to a stall near Shaki and Yamato. There was a man who was dressed very down to earth, guarding several small boxes. Compared with the colorful products next to it, his place looks particularly shabby. Naturally, his stall was deserted. Compared with the busy stall next door, the contrast is even stronger. Shaki and Yamato are busy picking out their favorite things, and they can't bear to let go of any of them. He didn't realize that Rayleigh, the male protagonist, and Golden Lion had already arrived next to him. Seeing the three male protagonists walking towards their stall, the businessman who was dressed in a very desolate manner smiled slightly. Advertisement. Do you guys know what I'm selling here? You don't open this box even if it's covered, who knows what you're selling? When the male protagonist sees this person, why is he so showy like Rayleigh? Some don't want to talk to him anymore. In that case, I'll leave you to look elsewhere. This Zhao Nuohao person's voice is very hoarse. It was as if Kakuzu's mouth didn't move when he spoke. His face was still wrapped in bandages. The facial muscles trembled as he spoke, revealing the looming and terrifying scar under the bandage. Rayleigh raised her hand towards the male protagonist. Young people don't know this, but I do. Haha. Hearing Rayleigh's voice, the somewhat shabby businessman's eyes seemed to sparkle. 330. Copper Jabba. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. But then, the light in the down and out businessman's eyes instantly went out. Everything happened in the blink of an eye, and even the male protagonist did not catch this change. Seeing Rayleigh squatting in front of his stall very seriously, looking at those small boxes, the male protagonist became even more puzzled. He carefully looked at the man in front of him. He was wearing rags and even the toes of his shoes were exposed. If he hadn't set up a stall at the port of Fisherman Island, the male protagonist would have even thought that this guy was a beggar. But the box in front of him was a bit delicate, as if it was made of fine wood, and even the cross-section and polishing were very fine. Rayleigh was about to pick up a box and open it, but the beggar-like businessman held his wrist. Rayleigh had long been concerned about this person's identity, and the 450 force coming from him holding her wrist made him even more sure. But when he looked down at his wrist, he found that it was haggard and covered with scars. Advertisement. When I think about this person who once fought alongside me, he has now reached this end. Rayleigh couldn't help but feel sad. His eyes darkened. The male protagonist felt even more puzzled. Could it be that Rayleigh found something wrong with something here and was deceived? Is that why you put on this expression? I guess there are 3 types of ores in your box. Oh, haha, CBFI, think you can guess it by just guessing. The down-and-out businessman's tone was somewhat mocking. The male protagonist originally thought that as a businessman, he just needs to sell things well. What's the point of selling it if it's okay? He was a little angry because of Rayleigh's injustice. Advertisement. Hey, if you guess correctly, you'll get it for free. It's not a rare thing. Haha, it's really not a treasure. It's just a good thing for those who need it. It's just an ordinary thing for those who don't need it. Mr. Master, please don't talk yet. Do you want to take a look at Haki and Yamato? I think they can't hold the things they bought. After Rayleigh's reminder, the male protagonist realized that he had long forgotten their existence. Turning around, I saw Mari and Yamato carrying 2 huge piles of boxes and bags. And they are still putting it up there. The boat they brought this time was not big. A lot of supplies and equipment were also placed. It would be troublesome if it were filled with the things Haki and Yamato bought. Hey, you two, stop it now. The male protagonist has long lost interest in this businessman who has always been trying to sell things off. Being reminded by Rayleigh, he quickly ran to the stall next to him. Advertisement. After the male protagonist left, Rayleigh looked at the person in front of her and became a little excited. This box contains gold, silver and copper, right? The very downcast businessman suddenly froze. Just now, I was holding Rayleigh's wrist, not wanting him to move rashly. At this time, it actually shook twice and then relaxed immediately. You actually guessed it right. You're lucky. Although he said so, his voice actually trembled. This person is the 3rd person in charge of the Roger Pirates, Spachin Joba. He fought alongside Roger at the Battle of Itovo. One Piece Roger's last name means gold. Rayleigh's surname means silver. And Joba's last name means copper. 331. Lost track. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Back then, Copper Joba was tall and strong, wearing sunglasses and a ponytail. The 2 sharp axes in his hands spanned the 7 seas. He had reached Raftel with them, but he did not go up. I just watched Roger and the others disembark. He is also a person of temperament. When he watched Roger and Odin leave, he couldn't help but burst into tears. But he has disappeared since then. In fact, the fate of the members of the Roger Pirates back then was different. Some later became the 4 emperors and Shichibukai. Others start out as hermits like Rayleigh. For example, Crocus, the ship's doctor, became a lighthouse keeper. Everyone else has their own way of surviving. Only this man named Copper Joba has remained missing. Advertisement. The relationship between the 3 of them was very good back then, and they were among the top 3 members of the Roger Pirates. Rayleigh has always felt a little heartbroken about his disappearance. He's always wanted to find Copper Joba. But I didn't expect to see him in this situation now. How did that strong man back then become like this now? Rayleigh felt a little heartbroken. He also discovered that although he had correctly said what was in the box, why did he have this attitude? Since he is holding this box whose meaning only the 3 of them know, it also means that Copper Joba wants to find the people who were part of the Roger Pirates back then. But why is he so eager to deny it now that Rayleigh is in front of him? Copper Joba. He heard Rayleigh call his name, and it was like a bolt of lightning struck his inner world. All the past events suddenly appeared in his mind. Advertisement. Most of those images were excruciating. Although he really wanted to find the whereabouts of the Roger Pirates, especially Rayleigh. But he was afraid of seeing them. Copper Joba has gone through so many things and is no longer what he was back then. He was very conflicted and painful inside. He doesn't know how to face his old acquaintance Rayleigh. After Rayleigh called his name, he stacked the 4 corners of the blanket on the ground and skillfully put the boxes into the box. Then he grabbed the backpack and ran away. Rayleigh finally met Copper Joba. How could he let him escape? Please give me flowers. So he didn't say hello to the male protagonist at all, and chased straight ahead. The male protagonist was originally arguing with Haki and Yamato, not to buy so many things. Advertisement. But suddenly I heard 2 sets of rapid footsteps. Golden Lion. Follow quickly. After hearing the male protagonist's order, Golden Lion also chased after Rayleigh in the direction he ran. The male protagonist and the others were originally going to leave from the port. Seeing that Haki and Yamato bought so many things, they were unable to help. So the male protagonist ordered the 2 of them to quickly take their things back to the boat. Golden Lion, an unconscious person, might not be able to figure out why Rayleigh suddenly ran away in such a hurry. He had to follow him and take a look. Shaki and Yamato have already bought enough things, and they want to leave without the male protagonist's instructions. After a while, Golden Lion caught up with Fuli. Because Rayleigh ran not far and found that Copper Jabba was gone. He sat on the ground panting, holding his head with his hands in pain. Why? What's wrong with you, Chi? 332. A cabin full of debris. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Levi didn't run far before he caught up with Rayleigh. He didn't know what happened yet, but he only saw Rayleigh breathing heavily and lying on the ground in pain. Beating his chest and shouting, "Uncle Rayleigh, who are you calling? Do you know that person just now?" Levi saw that Rayleigh didn't answer, and was still lying on the ground, whimpering and twitching. This made him even more confused. In his 253 memories, Rayleigh was a cheerful coding master from Sabayati Island who liked to drink. Still the most advanced one. But after coming to the Fishman Island, he had another impression of Rayleigh as being scheming, calm. But no matter what, Levi couldn't put the words Rayleigh and crying together. Advertisement. A very calm person suddenly started crying at the inexplicable death of someone. Obviously there is another mystery here. Just now, Levi went to persuade Shaki and Yamato, who had bought a bunch of things, to go back to the boat first. What exactly was said between Rayleigh and the down-and-out beggar-like businessman? He didn't even listen carefully. Seeing Rayleigh like this, Levi had no choice but to support him. If you have anything to say, let's make a choice. Although Levi had already said a few words, Rayleigh had just calmed down at this time. It's nothing. Haha, I made you laugh. Although Rayleigh tried her best to hide it and turned her head away from Levi, she still wiped her face randomly with her sleeves. Even the smile just now was forced out. Rayleigh continued to stare in the direction where Copper Jabba disappeared, somewhat lost in thought. Levi also followed his gaze and looked forward. Advertisement. There were only a few idle pedestrians on the streets there. I didn't see the person Rayleigh was chasing. Who was that businessman who looked like a beggar just now? What did he do to you? There are many people here, so let's go back to the ship and talk about it. Levi nodded. This was indeed not the place to talk. He waved to the Golden Lion, and then the three of them returned to their coated ship along the port of Fisherman Island. After arriving on the boat, the first thing that caught our eyes was the pile of debris. Levi was completely shocked. Originally, he was worried that the things bought by the two women, Shaw and Yamato, would fill the cabin. But seeing the actual situation on the ship still made him a little unbelievable. Fortunately, Levi, Rayleigh and Golden Lion are not particularly large. Otherwise, it might be difficult to even squeeze into the captain's cabin. Advertisement. If you don't pay attention here, you may accidentally step on the things they bought. Hey, Shaki, Yamato, didn't they all say not to buy so many things? You are not obedient. Shaki and Yamato are busy sorting out the things they bought. They also ignored Levi. Instead, they exchanged glances with each other and stuck out their tongues. You are back. Don't talk about them. They even brought me gifts. 1.6 inches off, is that right? Shaki and Yamato actually bring gifts to Robin. This surprised Levi a little. Although the three people got along very harmoniously before. But Levi always felt something was strange. Although just now at the market at the port of the Fishmen Island, Shinwei also made a point of visiting Shaki and Yamato. But he didn't pay much attention to whether the two of them could obey his orders. 333. Robin's Obsession. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. I quite like this. Robin poked his head out from the pile of things, holding up a beautiful blue silk scarf. As Robin spoke, he tied the blue silk scarf around his neck. Levi felt a little stunned. Combined with Robin's skin color and eye color, this scarf looks particularly beautiful. No, it should be said that Luo is more glorious and charming. The blue silk scarf is like the icing on the cake, embellishing Robin's already tall and good-looking ensemble. I have to say that Shaki and Yamato are pretty good at choosing things. Levi even felt that if he had to choose, he might not choose this color. He has never been good at matching things. Well, it's very nice. 21 inches. Advertisement. Lol, really? Robin laughed happily. Ah, by the way, did you get the red historical inscription from King Neptune of the Fishmen Island? This time Robin did not go to the Fishmen Island with Levi and the others. Instead, he stayed on board to guard the ship. At the same time, we still need to continue to interpret the message represented by the three red historical inscriptions. In the entire pirate world, Robin is one of the few people with this ability. Even if he has learned knowledge and skills from masters and scholars for a long time. But now facing these three red historical inscriptions really gave Robin a headache. And every time she looks at the red historical inscription, she will come to a different understanding. There will also be new discoveries. But they were all clues, like cookie crumbs. There is no one around to discuss with. Advertisement. But no matter which one, I always feel like something is wrong, and I have never been able to make a definite conclusion. This time when they came to the Fishmen Island, Robin thought about what if Levi got back the fourth piece. It may make the interpretation process go more smoothly. Looking at Robin's expectant eyes, Levi lowered his head and said, no. The word, Levi, was spoken in a somewhat uneasy and uncertain way. This surprised Robin. Before setting off, both Levi and Rayleigh felt confident. This fourth historical inscription seems to be at your fingertips. Robin also believed that he was sure to win this time. She doesn't have much interest in Raftel's legendary treasure or becoming the Pirate King. But I am very interested in unraveling the historical truth that disappeared for 100 years. This matter doesn't only concern Robin himself. Advertisement. She even wanted to use it to pay homage to Ohara, the famous archaeological site in West Blue. Dr. Kroba and the scholars on Ohara. They put a lot of hard work and effort into this matter. Even Robin's own mother, Nicole Albia, died because of this incident. It ultimately led to the entire sinking of the Ohara. It can be said that interpreting historical inscriptions and finding the truth has been Robin's lifelong obsession. Luo Fu was a little disappointed to hear that Levi did not get the red historical inscription. She was eager to know what happened here. Where's Rayleigh? Didn't he come back with you? Robin looked left and right, looking behind Levi. It's right behind me. Missed. At this time, Levi quickly turned around and looked behind him, only to find that only the Golden Lion was following him. He clearly remembered that Rayleigh was next to him, and the two of them got on the boat together. 334. Sudden change. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. A thought of worry crossed Levi's mind. Oh no. Could it be that Rayleigh is chasing that down-and-out beggar businessman again? Levi looked around every room in the cabin that was full of things. Running up and down. Finally, I found him in Rayleigh's lounge. Rayleigh didn't get off the boat, which made Levi relieved. At this time Robin also came down with Levi. Robin remembered that when he left, Rayleigh was still joking with him, drinking and enjoying the beautiful scenery of the sea. This uncle with rich knowledge and complex experience can always tell a lot of interesting stories about the pirate world to make Robin laugh. Advertisement. During the time spent with Rayleigh, Robin found it particularly interesting. Because Robin doesn't know what happened now, he just thinks it's strange. Why didn't Rayleigh and Levi get the historical inscription after they went to the Fishman Island? And even Rayleigh's character seems to have changed. That optimist uncle is so taciturn. At this time, Robin saw Rayleigh sitting on the edge of the bed in the cabin lounge with his arms around his back, holding his cheeks in his hands. His eyes were staring blankly at the ground. It was as if he had suffered a blow. Even the pride he carried in the past is gone. More like a dying old man. This made Robin feel a little baffled even more. She patted Levi on the shoulder. What happened to you guys? Advertisement. Question mark. In front of Robin's ear, Levi briefly told the scene that happened at the Fishman Island port market. Robin was confused after hearing this. But she vaguely felt that this might be related to Rayleigh's previous experience. Since I don't want to talk about it, Levi, don't ask. Let's go and give Uncle Rayleigh some time. Okay. Regarding the red historical inscription, I will tell you later. Levi and Robin left the cabin and returned to the captain's cabin. Then Levi issued an order to Golden Lion and quickly set sail away from the Fishman Island. After receiving the order, Golden Lion held the rudder steadily. After a while, we left the port of the Fishman Island and entered the deep seabed. At this time, Robin and Levi were no longer as excited as when they first arrived. At that time, they looked at the beautiful scenery of the deep sea that they had never seen before, and they felt a little novel. Advertisement. After experiencing all the things that happened before, Levi only felt that this was deeper than the sea. There is also the truth hidden in the red historical inscriptions, which is equally confusing and profound. It's obviously within easy reach, but it's full of doubts. Even Rayleigh's sudden change made him feel as mysterious as the sea. Levi stared at the scenery outside the window and became more and more silent. Robin brought 2 glasses of water and handed one to Levi. Levi didn't know what to say, so Tien was embarrassed and asked about Yamato. The two of them are unpacking the things they bought over and over again. It is estimated that they will not come out of their rest cabin for a few days. Oh, these 2 guys are really stupid. Okay, don't worry about them. If you have any questions, I will help you answer them. I am a scholar who has inherited Ohara's legacy. Levi looked at Robin's smiling face and felt a little comforted. Robin's character is deeper and calmer, and he will never smile like this easily to anyone. 335. Comfortable getting along with each other. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Levi finally felt a little happier. He was even more grateful to Robin. With Robin's character, I am afraid that I am the only one who can let Robin reveal his little girl side. He noticed a bit of disappointment hidden in Robin's eyes. Then I thought of telling Robin everything that happened on the Fishman Island. Well, thank you, Robin. Levi, what's wrong with you? We're still talking about this. You're too outspoken. I'm just kidding. Speaking of which, this time we go to the Fishman Island, we have to start with meeting Neptune. So Levi snatched away part of the content. For example, Princess Shirahoshi's strange behaviors, and the cheers and praises of everyone on the road. Advertisement. I picked out the important information and told it to Robin. Although Levi talked about key points, Robin is a person who likes to study. If there was anything she didn't understand, she would ask questions on the spot. Levi had no choice but to continue making supplements. Just like this, you asked and I answered, and some topics that had been deliberately avoided were also asked by Robin. By thinking and asking questions on his own, Robin found out everything about Levi and Lei and what happened to them on their trip to Fisherman Island in a short time. Even the detailed environment on the Fishman Island and what it looks like are known. After getting all the information, Robin finally figured out the reason. But there was some hidden information in it that she didn't understand. Such as Rayleigh's sudden change of behavior. For example, who did Rayleigh see? And who is the person who sells tea and steals historical inscriptions? Advertisement. All the clues seem to be hidden in the mess of information. Even a smart person like Robin needs time to think slowly. However, Levi and the others did not bring back the red historical inscription this time, which temporarily stopped Robin's deciphering work. I can finally take a break from my desk work. I can spend some time with Levi. What do you think, Robin? I'll have to think about that. But I think about Rayleigh, he'll tell you eventually. Robin, I'm really sorry that I didn't get the historical inscription this time. CBEF Levi, it doesn't have to be like this. I think you can always find it by following the clues Rayleigh said. Robin thought to himself, no matter who stole the historical monument, they would be exposed. They came up with such a complicated plan. They also simulated and made fish man's skin that could look real, and they tried their best to cover up and hide their identity. Advertisement. Although it took a lot of effort. But only the tea leaves that were not easily noticed were left. If Rayleigh hadn't been well informed, I'm afraid this piece of news would have been ignored. Then they are really unaware of it. No matter who these two people are, they will always have contacts. This contact person can be the person who instigated them, the buyer, or an accomplice. Well, you're right. After talking to you, even though I still don't know the answer, I feel a sense of enlightenment. Robin's words did not comfort Levi. In fact, Levi also knows what happened to Ohara where Robin was born. What does the hidden information in the red historical inscription mean to Robin? Levi knew it all, but Robin was never willing to take the initiative to bring up those painful memories. 336. Return to the sea. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Even Robin never took the initiative to tell anyone about his childhood experience. Although Levi learned about it from other sources. But I won't deliberately ask Robin. The two of them just stood there, as if their hearts were full of tacit understanding, while staring at the windows on the side of the ship. Only then did the two realize that they had been talking for so long that the Golden Lion had already driven the ship out of the deep sea. Resurfaced. Returning to the sea again, I felt the turbulent waves rising on the unsettled sea again. The whole ship shook slightly. As a pirate who travels across the seven seas, he has long been accustomed to the bumps and bumps of ships. But this time the shaking pulled Levi and Robin out of their thoughts. Advertisement. Ah, you've come out of the deep sea. I didn't even notice it. You were too focused on things just now. Really, I'm just telling what happened before. It's you who really uses your brain to think. Thank you for your hard work, Robin. Levi touched his head and smiled slightly. He picked up the glass of water that Robin had brought over before, tilted his neck and drank it with a gulp. Robin had long discovered that Levi and Rayleigh had never had anything to eat or drink since they came back to the ship. He knew that Levi must have too many things on his mind to care about these needs. So I took the opportunity to ask Levi what happened just now, and wanted Levi to drink a glass of water first. Before meeting Levi, Robin's emotions were always affected by those childhood memories, Ohara and the red historical inscriptions. But since she met Levi, she felt another concern in her heart. Levi's every move, every smile, has an extremely important place in Luoshi's heart. Advertisement. And once Levi is unhappy, she will drop everything she is doing. Of course, Robin had conflicts in his heart. One is the obsession in one's heart, and the other is the concern in the center of one's heart. When there is a conflict between the two, how will she deal with it? Fortunately, later on, when Levi also became involved with the red historical inscription, this contradiction naturally disappeared. Sometimes Robin can't help but think. If they finally find Raftel, the bond between the two men will be gone. Please give me flowers. Will Levi leave her? She had never dared to think about this. And she never dared to ask that question. Advertisement. Shall we go to the restaurant to have something to eat? You are not here these days. I have cooked a lot of barbecue by myself on the boat. Oh, great. I can finally try your craft. Let's go. Levi became a little excited. Ever since Robin started studying historical inscriptions, it was a rare opportunity to cook on a ship. I can't remember the last time I ate something made by Robin himself. It was so long ago. The two were about to leave the captain's cabin when they saw Rayleigh walking in. Although his steps were still so heavy, the expression on his face was no longer as sad as before. Uncle Rayleigh, did you also hear about Robin's barbecue? Levi tentatively asked an irrelevant question. Haha, I was really embarrassed just now. I think there are some things that I should say out loud. Rayleigh was trapped in painful memories, and he didn't come out until the ship sailed out of the deep sea. 337. Too much pressure. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. When entering and exiting the Fishman Island, you must rely on the boat's coating to dive into the deep sea. Although Rayleigh has personally coated so many ships, he has not dived into the deep sea many times. The last time I had such an experience was when I followed the Pirate King Roger 26 years ago. Although the boat steered by Golden Lion drove steadily, it was still bumpy when it suddenly emerged from the deep sea. That jolt, 997, only brought Levi and Robin back from their thoughts. What's more, Rayleigh, who had always been silent, also woke up from those painful memories. The days spent with Copper Jabba and Pirate King Roger were undoubtedly wonderful. But the experiences that followed were not very pleasant. Advertisement. Seeing Copper Jabba look like this made Rayleigh even more miserable. On the one hand, he takes on the task of protecting Princess Shirahoshi. On the other hand, they are looking for someone to inherit the legacy of Pirate King Roger. The burden on his shoulders is not heavy. So the daily laughter, yelling, drinking and having fun are just to let yourself relax for a short time. Sometimes I even feel that only by getting drunk can I temporarily forget those responsibilities. Fortunately, Levi showed up later, and Rayleigh felt that she was really relaxed. However, the appearance of Copper Jabba pulled Rayleigh back into his previous sinister place. If a person lives in that kind of stressful life for a long time, it will be fine after he gets used to it. You will always find a balance in life. But as soon as the hope of seeing this pressure relax was lost. Advertisement. When I was relaxed, the pressure suddenly came back to my heart. Not everyone can adapt to this change quickly. Rayleigh just fell into this situation. It's not that he doesn't want to tell Levi what happened just now, it's just that he hasn't figured out how to say it. When the boat surfaced and rocked, he suddenly seemed enlightened. No matter how difficult things are or how stressful they are, he must take Levi to complete these things. That piece of historical inscription was stolen and has not been recovered yet. So, Rayleigh went to the captain's cabin, intending to have a chat with Levi. But when I just walked over, I saw Levi and Robin living in harmony. Rayleigh couldn't bear to be disturbed, so she stood outside for a while. What on earth is going on? Advertisement. Levi, what I want to say is the story about the shabby businessman who looked like a beggar. So Rayleigh told Levi roughly how he met Copper Jabba and how they experienced adventures together. After Levi and Robin heard these things, they couldn't help but began to think about everything Rayleigh went through back then. What a passionate and magnificent life it was. Although Levi has long known that Rayleigh has had such an experience. But speaking it from other people's mouths and speaking it from the 0.3 experiencers themselves are two different concepts. That kind of experience is completely different from what I heard. Levi even fantasizes about how great it would be if he and Roger, the Pirate King, lived in the same era. In this way, you can see with your own eyes the heroic appearance of this all-powerful figure. It's a pity that I was born at the wrong time. However, Rayleigh can still feel traces of the influence of Roger the Pirate King. 338. First impression. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Rayleigh is like this as Pirate King Roger's deputy, let alone him himself. Robin and Levi have different focuses. Robin heard a hint of sadness hidden in Rayleigh's narration. As the saying goes, heroes grow old. Now Rayleigh seems to be doing this job as a coding master voluntarily. But that Copper Jabba didn't know what he had gone through. Seeing his old friend in such a state of desolation, Robin could certainly understand his feelings. Levi, on the other hand, couldn't quite understand Rayleigh's emotion. He has had a smooth journey and is still at the peak of his life. Advertisement. There is no process of getting back up again after 21 has experienced ups and downs. But even Levi was curious about what happened. Uncle Rayleigh, don't be sad. His experiences couldn't have happened on the Fishman Island. They should have ended up here. I think so too. Okay, let's not talk about this for now. The most important thing is to trace the black historical inscriptions. What? The black one? I thought it was the red one. When Levi told Robin a story before, he did not mention the specific historical inscription that was stolen. Robin was also preconceived and mistakenly thought that the red historical inscription indicating Raftel's coordinates was missing. It wasn't until this moment that Rayleigh specifically pointed out the black piece that Robin suddenly realized. Even though he had studied at O'Hara, even Robin didn't understand why this piece was missing. She also asked the same question as Levi. Advertisement. Rayleigh also answered Robin the same way he originally answered Levi. Unlike Levi's reaction at the time, Luo Bao realized his own shallowness. She had always thought that she was number one in the entire pirate world when it came to mastering the amount of information on historical inscriptions. But today she realized that she didn't know as much as Rayleigh. Obviously, the person behind the theft of the black historical inscription should have more knowledge than himself. Our next step is to go to the place where tea is produced to track down the whereabouts. Rayleigh stroked the short beard on his chin and nodded. Then Robin is indeed a person who has the genes of a scholar mother. Even more worthy of being someone who was personally taught by O'Hara scholars. When it comes to intelligence, Robin is much better than Levi. Advertisement. Speaking of which, the combination of Levi and Robin, who are both civil and military, is really a good thing for the follow-up. It's just that Levi's peach blossoms are a bit too strong, and he is especially liked by girls wherever he goes. Hope he can balance this. Yes, but few people in the world government and naval headquarters know about this place. It is not easy to find this place. 933. Although Rayleigh knew where they might have come from, he also knew that this place was not easy to find. Even on many nautical maps, the name of this place is not marked. Because there is no mark, if it weren't for the pirates who were unfortunately shipwrecked, they would have encountered it by chance. I'm afraid no one will take the initiative to go to that place. In some low-level versions of nautical maps, this island is not marked at all, only showing that it is a Sea of Wang Yang. Robin, You have studied so many charts, have you ever heard of such a place? 339. Robin's collection of nautical charts. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Since Robin met Levi, she has shown her superb sailing skills. Whenever he wants to go somewhere, Levi always asks Robin for advice on planning the route. Even if the distance between the two places is very close or even places that have been visited before. Robin will also consider the weather, distance, and degree of danger to make several plans for Levi to choose from. Since Robin helped Levi plan the route, even the consumption of supplies has been reduced a lot. On the sea, you will encounter unexpected situations and consumption at any time. The less supplies you have, the more formations will be moved to the ground. Robin thought about what Rayleigh said. She believes that the reason why Rayleigh and Levi want to pursue this place is because the identity of the executor who stole the historical monument was exposed. If the person behind the scenes can be successfully found, then there will be no need to go to great lengths to find this island. Robin mentioned this idea to Rayleigh and Levi. Advertisement. But soon Rayleigh rejected Robin's idea. If it were so easy to find the person behind it, I wouldn't have chosen the difficult path of finding that island. Everything seems to have reached an impasse again. Does that island have a name? Rayleigh shook her head. They are labeled differently on countless nautical maps. In fact, in the entire pirate world, everyone knows a lot about the countries on the Grand Line. In some countries, their coordinates are always a secret. For example, King Bill VI of the Kingdom of Erosh once brought his 4 daughters to attend the meeting. Bill's 4 daughters stunned the audience. They were carved out of the same mold, not exactly quadruplets. Advertisement. Just age and body size are different. It's like it came out of a Matryoshka doll. No one can figure out how this is done. No one even knows where the country of Erosh is. There are many other places like this country. The tea-producing island they were looking for was one of the unknown islands. There seemed to be no clue, but Robin was not discouraged. She grabbed all the nautical charts on the cabinet next door. One by one they were spread out in front of Rayleigh and Levi. That was Robin's collection of various versions of nautical charts drawn by different people. There are even ancient versions of nautical charts that flowed from Ohara. Advertisement. The original had been lost long ago, but Robin relied on his extraordinary memory and talent to make another copy of it. After spending so much time with Robin, Levi never knew that Robin had so many collections of nautical charts. In the past, he had only seen the scrolls placed on the cabinet. In Levi's impression, they had never seen Robin open it, but only cleaned the dust on the scroll regularly. It wasn't until Robin opened them today that Levi realized that they were actually nautical charts. Finding an island without a name is not an easy task. Since they could come to the World Government meeting in the first place. But no one found them on the route, which meant that this place must have deviated from the normal route. Moreover, the products on this island must be very rich and self-sufficient. An excellent nautical chart is not just as simple as marking a few islands and routes. You can even see records about the weather and unique geographical environment of this area. 340. Treasure Girl. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Levi's eyes moved to a yellowed navigation chart. Robin, this one seems to be old, right? Yes. This is the first nautical chart I drew by myself. After hearing Levi's question, Robin stared at the navigation chart and fell into deep thought. After Robin escaped from Ohara, he experienced a lot along the way. But he never discarded the teachings of those scholars and his ability. At that time, Robin was still young and had not really experienced so many things on the sea. She was able to draw this nautical chart by tearing it up all by herself, relying solely on her memory of the ancient versions of nautical charts collected by Ohara that she had seen when she was a child. In fact, she later made many copies of 207 based on her memory, but only this one was the closest to what she remembered. Advertisement. Even though it was yellowing, Robin still couldn't bear to throw it away. Later, when she drew nautical charts, she gained knowledge of the real world and visited so many places. Therefore, in the nautical charts drawn later, some parts that she felt were unreasonable compared with reality were corrected. Rayleigh followed Levi's gaze and helped Robin carefully open the yellowed chart. Only then did Levi realize that Robin's craftsmanship was so superb. Although I drew it when I was a kid, CBDC, it is more beautiful than the ordinary low-end versions of nautical charts sold at roadside stalls. Oh my god, Robin, what surprises do you have that I don't know about? Levi couldn't help but sigh. If a girl is good-looking, she is already blessed by God. Not to mention the superb technical level and knowledge, which is really rare to see in 100 years. Advertisement. He was really lucky to have met Robin. Rayleigh traveled across the 7 seas and visited countless places. Even when he saw any island on the chart, he could close his eyes and remember how he got there. As he looked at it, he realized that this chart was obviously not the version currently circulating. Because the kingdom of Taiji is actually marked here. Although she didn't know whether the position was correct, Rayleigh was still surprised. Among the countries with unknown origins participating in the World Government Conference, this country is quite special. Their king is one of the few women. Queen Mengluolong has blonde hair with a high bun and some curls. Wearing a blue dress and pink shawl. Rayleigh still remembers how calmly the queen responded when she was holding a glass of red wine and changing glasses with several people at the World Government Conference. Advertisement. And the red wine she carries with her is not something she can buy casually. Although those who came to attend this meeting were all well-informed kings of the 10 directions across the 7 seas. But countless people were fascinated by her elegance and beauty. When Rayleigh thought of Queen Monralan who brought her own red wine, Rayleigh thought of the tea merchants who stole the historical inscriptions on the Fishmen Island. They are all local specialties, and they are also rare things. Could this matter have something to do with the Taiji kingdom? But where exactly the Taiji kingdom is, the Yin family doesn't know. It's not even clear whether it's on the Grand Line or the North Blue East Blue. After all, there are limits to what world government and naval headquarters can control. There are countless people throughout the world who disobey them. 341. Taiji Kingdom. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Perhaps others may have connections to these unknown countries. But as allies, they will not reveal each other's coordinates casually. Because once the coordinates are exposed, it means that they will be controlled by the world government and naval headquarters. It might even attract some pirates with bad intentions. They also have no ambition to dominate the world. Even when trading local specialties, they will choose third parties such as the Holy Land Mariajoy or Sabayati Island. Levi and Robin looked at Rayleigh's thoughtful look and found that he was staring at a blank sea area on the chart. The words, Kingdom of Taiji, were written in the blank space of the navigation chart, but they had long been erased. Uncle Rayleigh, what did you think of? Advertisement. Ah, it's nothing. I just suddenly remembered a person I met, and I was wondering if it might be related to him. Who are you talking about? Queen Menglulong of the Taiji Kingdom. Levi and Robin shook their heads at the same time. I haven't heard of it. Levi touched his head, a little confused. He had never heard of this place, and he didn't even know that such a country existed in the world. Levi looked at Robin to see if she knew this place. Before, Robin found that when Thunder Emperor was staring at the blank sea, he was also thinking about something that she had long forgotten. She remembered that when she first drew this map based on her memory, there was a continuous island on the blank sea area. That island is labeled the Kingdom of Taiji. However, during Robin's later sailing career, she discovered that there was nothing here. Advertisement. Robin only thought that the previous person had marked the wrong location, so he erased it again. When she noticed that Rayleigh's eyes had not left there, she thought to herself, could it be that Rayleigh had been to such a place before? Uncle Rayleigh, you have been watching this place. Is there something wrong? Yes, I always feel that there is some connection between the Taiji kingdom and the person who stole the red historical inscription. You mean? Are they the ones behind it? It is really difficult for Levi and Robin to associate such a country and character they have never heard of with stealing historical monuments. There is absolutely no concept in my mind. Please give me flowers. No, I mean, the group of tea merchants who stole the historical inscriptions should have come from some island near the kingdom of Taiji. Well, I understand. In other words, if we want to track them down, we must find the Taiji kingdom. Hearing this, both Levi and Robin felt that something was going to happen. Advertisement. To find an island that doesn't even have a name is like looking for a needle in a haystack. 0. But now that there is a name, there is always a direction to follow. According to the information provided by Rayleigh, the Taiji kingdom should be rich in red wine. The raw materials for making red wine require grapes and spices, and a certain climate. The natural geographical conditions here must also be very special. Unless they have something like a weather rod, it's only possible that they're at low latitudes. In this respect, the climate of this place should be similar to that of Dressrosa. Robin took the sextant, set square and compass and found the coordinates of Dressrosa Island on the chart. Then a rough latitude and longitude range was drawn. If you keep sailing in this direction, you will definitely encounter the mountains of the Taiji kingdom. 342. Possibly the third daughter island. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Robin fiddled with her set square and compass. He was constantly calculating the accuracy, and at the same time, the slender jade fingers of his right hand were constantly moving back and forth on the yellowed map. At this time, Robin was fully focused, as if the earnest eyes of Levi and Rayleigh no longer existed. She was completely immersed in her own world. Not only drawing a beautiful and accurate nautical chart is one of Robin's hobbies. Just 763 is connected to the nautical chart and imagining herself riding the wind and waves. Going to and from various islands is one of her favorite things to do. After a while, Robin had found an area. This area should be near the calm belt near the Grand Line. It's just that the long and narrow routes from east to west, north to south, may be areas where they exist. Advertisement. It's hard to say exactly where we are going. Robin kept mumbling those keywords and thinking at the same time in order to make the final confirmation on the navigation chart. Levi thought, since the Taiji kingdom is ruled by Queen Menglulong, could it be that all the people on this island are women? Based on his limited knowledge, there are 2 islands in the entire pirate world that are filled with women. The first one is Daughter Island, also called Amazon Lily, which is the country of the 9 snakes. This place is in the calm belt next to the Grand Line, and there are also huge sea kings here. Therefore, ordinary ships cannot reach the waters near them. Their leader Boya Hancock is also one of the 7 warlords of the sea. The raw food also has a unique flavor, full of Haki. As for the other daughter island, it is the kingdom of Kamabaka. Advertisement. But there are some human monsters there. Except for Sanji, the son of Vinsmoke Judge whom Rayleigh mentioned before, few people have set foot in that place. Thinking of this, Levi shuddered all over. Robin was concentrating and didn't notice Levi's behavior at all. She pointed to one of the places and said, "This is it." Question mark. Rayleigh and Levi's eyes followed the direction of Robin's finger. It is at the same longitude as Dressrosa Island, just on the edge of the calm belt. But not quite into the calm belt. As this here, logically speaking, someone should have seen them in such a place during the voyage. But why is it so mysterious that no one can find the coordinates? If my memory is correct, this should be a long and narrow island composed of several islands. Do you mean it's spread out in circles like cake islands? Advertisement. No, Levi, that's the shape. As he spoke, Robin drew roughly on the map with a pencil. Then he explained the customs of this island to Levi and Rayleigh. Judging from his location, this should be a place with both tropical and subtropical environments. Every year, ocean currents bring abundant monsoons and rainy seasons to the island. It's just that these monsoons may only occur once every 6 months. And every time the monsoon arrives, it brings storms. 5.0 Therefore, the island's specialties are also divided into rainy season and dry season. At the same time, this island should have two different landforms, plateau and plain. I'm afraid there is another possibility that the only entrance and exit is from the plateau area. In the calm belt, there are plain areas. Therefore, many pirates who want to go there can only land on the island through the calm belt. 343. Emergency steering. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. But once you land on Taji Island from this location, you will encounter the huge Sea King's ship that will destroy everyone. If you want to avoid it, you can only go to the plateau area of the island. But the dock there should be completely in the hands of the Taji Kingdom and have a good defense system. No one can force their way in. Only Queen Menglulong from Taji would come in and out from here when she went to attend the World Summit. After listening to Robin's description, Levi felt confident. With his powerful Reiatsu ability, who else can't he deal with? It only takes one thought to suppress the flow of energy that will cause the world to collapse. Advertisement. When we get there, it's fine if they cooperate with me obediently. If they don't honestly explain the whereabouts of the historical inscriptions, whether it's a soul deterrent or a real injury, let them do it again. Let's see if they can still talk nicely. As Levi thought about it, he became a little proud, and the corners of his mouth rose slightly. Robin glanced sideways at Levi and noticed that Levi had a particularly nice smile. In all the time I've known Levi, there haven't been many times when he could make him smile so proudly. After a rare encounter, Robin couldn't help but take a second look. Ahem, that, you can't take it lightly. Rayleigh seemed to have seen through Levi's thoughts and quickly warned him. Although Levi is very powerful, it may not be easy for the Taji Kingdom to deal with Levi. But he is not the only one on the boat, there are also 2 weak girls Shaki and Yamato. Advertisement. There are also 3 remaining red historical inscriptions. If something happens to this ship, the historical inscriptions will also sink into the sea. If it weren't for the fact that this thing is obscure and difficult to understand, it would be difficult to decipher it for a while. Rayleigh wanted Robin and Levi to memorize them all before destroying them. Don't worry, Uncle Rayleigh. I've got everything. Now that you know the place, let's set off. Yes, I think so too. If anything changes, just adapt accordingly on the way there. Rayleigh saw that both Levi and Robin said so he nodded. Then Levi issued an order to the Golden Lion who was at the helm. Towards the edge of the Grand Line, heading in the 23rd degree direction. Yes, I obey. After coming out of the Fishmen Island, they originally headed towards Sabayati Island. Advertisement. At this time, in order to reach that place, Golden Lion quickly made a big turn. Since the 3 of them had been concentrating on discussing the navigation chart, they had no idea where they were now. Therefore, they did not expect that Golden Lion would suddenly turn around at this time, leaving the 3 of them defenseless. 867. Rayleigh felt a little unsteady and held the table with both hands. Robin is also a person who has experienced many battles. The bumps and sudden steering changes on the sea will not affect her. But seeing Levi next to her, she decided to pretend to be weak. Robin did not hold on to anything on the boat, but allowed his body to sway as the boat turned. Unable to stand still, he suddenly fell into Levi's arms. Levi's feet were weak this time. Although he has powerful Reiatsu abilities, brute force-like martial arts skills are not what he is good at. He was already a little unsteady on his feet, but after Robin turned over, he lay directly on the ground. 344. A serious answer. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Robin originally thought Levi could support her, but unexpectedly she fell to the ground with Levi. Levi's current posture is with his back pressed against the deck of the captain's cabin, while his hands are in midair trying to grab the table next to him. But when he stretched out his hand, he directly touched Robin. Robin, on the other hand, rested his hands on the deck, facing Levi. This sudden change made Levi and Robin blush at the same time. The touch of Levi's hands had never felt like this before. It was also the first time that Robin was so close to Levi in this posture. Hey, Golden Lion, how do you sail the boat? In order to relieve the embarrassment, Levi had to vent his complaints in this way. The Golden Lion was originally the person who had most of his will taken away by Levi. Advertisement. Except for protecting Levi, all other emotions and desires no longer exist. Hearing Levi's complaint at this time, he only replied with two serious words. How did you sail the ship? Of course it was according to your instructions. Golden Lion will act in accordance with Master Levi's orders. This sentence was said in an extremely serious and calm tone, but it made Robin laugh. Rayleigh, who had been trying to hold on to the table, realized when she heard Robin's laughter that she had just fallen to the ground. Rayleigh kindly wanted to help Robin up, only to find that she and Levi fell to the ground at the same time. Rayleigh felt a little embarrassed at first, but soon started laughing. I'd better go out first. I won't get involved in matters between young people. Ha ha. Hey, don't go. The steering was too hasty just now. I don't know if Maki and Yamato need help. Oh, go ahead and leave me alone. Advertisement. After hearing Rayleigh's words, Levi and Robin stood up quickly. Haki and Yamato bought a lot of things at the Fishman Island. It not only filled their own room, but also filled the entire cabin. If the goods piled as high as a hill fell down, they might be injured. Thinking of this, Levi quickly chased after him. When I walked to the door, I found that Rayleigh had not gone far. It turned out that he was blocked in the captain's cabin door. Looking out through the glass of the captain's cabin, the countless cargoes piled on the deck of the ship just now collapsed. The door to the captain's cabin was also blocked. Although the door to the captain's cabin opens inwards, once the door is opened, the pile of things will flow into the entire captain's cabin. 3 black lines were drawn unconsciously on Levi and Rayleigh's faces. The goods that fell down basically flowed out of the box. Advertisement. It can be said that 8 Gate has everything. There are not only some trinkets, clothes and shoes, but also a lot of food. Haki, Yamato, you did a good job. Levi felt a little embarrassed when Rayleigh saw him with Robin just now. The explanation was unclear, and a nameless anger could not be vented, Liao Nuo Jiao. So I went for Haki and Yamato. This is not because Levi doesn't like to interact with Robin. On the contrary, he admires Luo Guan very much. It's just that Levi is a bit face-conscious and thin-skinned. This kind of thing would be awkward even if only he and Robin were present. What's more, there is a third person, Rayleigh. As for the Golden Lion, he doesn't matter, he doesn't know anything anyway. He wasn't considered at all. 345. A false alarm. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. After Levi finished shouting, 2 calls for help came from underneath the cabin. Ah, help. When Levi and Rayleigh heard that the sound was from Haki, they didn't think about anything else. He stepped on the pile of collapsed cargo on the cabin and went out. Wait until you reach the staircase connected to the bottom of the cabin. I found that even the stairs were full of piles. After Levi heard Haki and Yamato's screams, he didn't know what kind of accident they had encountered, and just wanted to save people as soon as possible. Rayleigh had the same idea. They even thought that they were crushed by the collapsed cargo. Or maybe some sea kings or pirates came up from the bottom of the sea and suddenly attacked them. Advertisement. Both of them are very worried now. When Levi and Rayleigh rushed to the room where Haki was, they found that both Haki and Yamato were standing in the room. Among them, Yamato held a delicate small box in his hand. Haki covered his mouth with both hands and his eyes widened. Both of them were motionless. What's wrong? What happened? Who attacked you? Levi and Rayleigh asked anxiously, and at the same time looked around in the room full of clutter. What kind of attack? No, that cry for help just now, wasn't it from Haki? Levi was completely stunned. Even Rayleigh couldn't help but wonder if that person was still hiding in the cabin and threatening them both. Maybe it's some devil fruit user with the ability to become invisible. Advertisement. Rayleigh's eyes became sharp and he looked at the corner warily. And Levi has already activated all his Reiatsu abilities in advance. As soon as you find traces of that enemy, crush him immediately. In this situation where the atmosphere is so tense. But Haki and Yamato looked at the serious expressions of Levi and Rayleigh and suddenly laughed. Ha 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 ha, don't be so nervous. CBBH. It's really okay. Don't lie to us. No matter who appears, just leave it to me. Seeing Levi becoming more and more serious, Haki quickly explained. The sudden turn of the rudder just now caused the ship to shake rapidly, and all the supplies they had piled up collapsed. However, they were not vegetarians, so they naturally avoided it by dodging left and right. But when it was all over, Haki suddenly found an open box under his feet. It was a favorite thing she bought on the Fishman Island. Advertisement. At that time, this was the only color left. It took Haki and Yamato haggling for a long time to buy it. The contents of the box were now spilled out and crushed by her own foot. So Yamato helped Haki, who was very heartbroken, to put those things back into the box. But then when he looked at the thing that had been trampled to pieces by himself, he immediately screamed. Levi was furious when he heard this. He really couldn't understand the thoughts of these 2 girls. Just because something you bought before suddenly disappears, you can call for help. It's really hard to understand. Levi actually felt a little angry. I really don't understand what these 2 people are thinking. Looking at the mess in this place, he couldn't help but roar. Hey, you 2, please stop it. Don't buy so many things in the future. 346. Daily bickering. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Rayleigh was advising Levi next to him. Oops, Levi, you are still too young, there are some things you don't understand yet. When Levi's roar was heard, Haki and Yamato did not realize the seriousness of the problem. Haki pouted his mouth and kept mumbling. I just like to buy, so what? I want you to take care of it. Yamato felt a little aggrieved and muttered softly. I just shouted for help. I didn't mention you by name, Levi, to come and save me. Why are you so angry? Although the two voices were not loud, they were still heard by Levi. He didn't dare to show weakness either. Advertisement. Hey, I'm the captain on this ship. If anything happens, of course I have full authority to handle it. Okay, even if we encounter anything in the future, we won't tell you. Anyway, there is Uncle Rayleigh, right? That's right. If we have anything to do with Uncle Rayleigh, we won't be looking for you, Levi. Haki and Yamato made faces after speaking. Levi was too embarrassed because of the incident with Robin just now, and Rayleigh saw it. So I was holding back a lot of embarrassing anger. Coupled with the story of Haki and Yamato engaging in this crying wolf story, the group's name was inexplicably destroyed. Their trip was heading towards the kingdom of Taiji, which no one had ever been to before. I don't know what I'm going to encounter along the way. Moreover, the first half of this route is still a familiar route, but in the second half, I am afraid that there will be no familiar places to stop. It can be said that the whole journey is full of unknowns. If it was Levi alone, he would naturally not take it seriously. Advertisement. But there are 3 women and an old man on the whole ship waiting for his protection. There are still 3 red historical inscriptions that he needs to protect. But after Levi finished yelling these few words, he suddenly felt calmer. He thought maybe he was too nervous. Okay, sorry, I don't know what's wrong. Maybe I'm worried about the future. Hearing Levi's tone soften, Haki and Yamato stopped bickering with Levi. They were not really angry with Levi in the first place, they just didn't like Levi yelling and talking to them both. What's more, Levi has never yelled at Robin like this. Please give me flowers. Doing this to just the two of them every day would make them feel unbalanced. By the way, what's the way forward? Where are you going next? Haki and Yamato asked in unison. Advertisement. So Levi and Rayleigh told them the route they had just discussed with Robin in the captain's cabin. Even they had never heard of the Taiji kingdom that Levi mentioned. Point 0. However, when I heard that the specialty of this island is similar to Dressrosa, Haki and Yamato began to fantasize one after another. They have been to Dressrosa Island and have a very good impression of it. There is a special exotic atmosphere there, and even the streets there are extremely romantic. It would probably be exciting to go shopping with Levi in a place like this. It is said that this tropical island even has a lot of delicious food. Since it's such an interesting place, why should Levi worry? Haki and Yamato seemed to have stars in their eyes. But when Levi mentioned that the Taiji kingdom was ruled by a queen, the two of them sighed at the same time. 347. Kicked out. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. What's wrong? Why are you sighing? I want you to take care of it. After Haki and Yamato said something casually, they lowered their heads and continued to feel sorry for the pile of things they bought. Levi felt that he cared about them both kindly, but he was choked and speechless. He thought Haki and Yamato would be excited when they heard they were going to a new place. Especially when Levi described the customs of that place just now, their eyes were still shining. Even the expression on his face at that moment was full of expectation. Why do the two of them look like this when they talk about other things? He sighed, as if he was reluctant to go. Even asking more will lead to complaints from them. The two attitudes and changes before and after left Levi a little confused. He sighed silently in his heart, maybe women are fickle. Advertisement. Rayleigh stood nearby, smiling and saying nothing. When he was young, he was also a well-known figure in both political circles. Levi has experienced these teenage troubles before. Rayleigh probably understands what Haki and Yamato are worried about. It's just because this kingdom of Taiji has an amazing queen. When you like a person or thing, you often imagine him to be too perfect. It seems that everyone who is close to this person or thing in the world has the intention to rob. A young talent like Levi is not only handsome but also has a good personality. How could it not be liked by girls? But Haki and Yamato seem to be a little overcautious. This time is not just for fun, but for secretly sneaking into the kingdom of Taiji to track down the stolen historical inscriptions. Don't say you can't see that queen. Even if you see it, you should try to avoid it. Advertisement. It's a pity that Levi's character is a bit straight and he can't see through the little thoughts of these 3 women. Sometimes Rayleigh doesn't even know. Does Levi really not see it? Or is it intentional? Rayleigh pursed her lips and snickered, while Levi stood there looking embarrassed. Haki and Yamato directly issued eviction orders. Hey, stop standing here. We have to pack our things. Okay, take your time and clean it up. Levi calmly exited Haki and Yamato's room. Rayleigh followed closely behind. Levi, do you want to check our equipment? After Rayleigh reminded Levi, he remembered. The last time I replenished equipment and supplies was during the Sabayati archipelago. In order to speed up the journey, I had just prepared supplies and equipment for a round trip to the Fishman Island. Advertisement. I didn't bring anything extra. Unexpectedly, I encountered so many unexpected incidents on the Fishman Island. In the end, even the supply issue was ignored. Robin has been on board. It wasn't until the boat was sailing that they learned that they were not going back to the Sabayati archipelago and had to quickly turn to the Taji kingdom. Rayleigh was thinking about Copper Java at that time. Shaki and Yamato were not responsible for this. As the captain, this responsibility must be Levi's own. 3.5. I'd better go to the small warehouse at the bottom of the cabin to take inventory. Well, let's go together. With that said, Rayleigh and Levi came to the warehouse at the bottom. Although this ship is not large, the bottom space is filled with supplies and equipment. In addition to the common water and hard liquor, there are many foods that are easy to preserve. 348. I wrongly blamed them. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Levi originally thought that based on the distance, he would have consumed half a warehouse's worth of stuff along the way. But I didn't find out until I arrived at the warehouse. The supplies here are not consumed too much. It can even be said that there is not much difference from before departure. Levi rarely comes here, and he doesn't even know if he remembers it wrong. Hey, what's going on? How come it consumes so little? Rayleigh's little eyes narrowed again. He stroked his short silver-white beard on his chin and said with a smile. Don't you remember what happened when Shaki and Yamato bought a bunch of things at the Fishman Island? What? You mean they put supplies on the ship? That's impossible. Levi never expected such a result. Because from a daily perspective, Shaki and Yamato are simply heartless. Advertisement. In addition to focusing on shopping and how to dress. Usually, I either have to argue with Levi or dream of my dreams. It always felt like the two of them were just passers-by on the ship. Neither of them seemed to care about where the boat was going next. Previously, the berthing time at the pier of the Fishman Island was very short. In such a short period of time, could the two of them handle these things? This really surprised Levi, and he clearly watched the two of them get on the boat with a pile of things he bought. I had never noticed that so many things had been put on board. Have you forgotten? Remember that pile of stuff that just filled the deck? Of course I remember. There is no room to step down. It is precisely because the warehouse is full of things that they put the things they bought on the plywood. Advertisement. After Rayleigh broke the story down, Levi suddenly realized it. I just feel like I blamed Shaki and Yamato wrongly. As soon as he saw the two of them, Levi began to think that the two of them were causing trouble. Every time I was just minding my own business and didn't listen to what they had to say first. So he told them head on and face to face. Thinking of this, Levi felt a little ashamed. You shouldn't have said that about them both just now. His tone was indeed serious. I blamed them wrongly, alas. Don't sigh, Levi, just go and apologize to them and that'll be it. What? This is impossible, forget it. This kind of wrongly blaming others is embarrassing enough. Advertisement. Anyway, only Rayleigh knows about it now. If a public apology were made, I'm afraid everyone on the ship would know about it. Besides, to command a ship well, you must use prestige and deterrence. Putting all this aside, will 047 people still obey the orders I issued? It is absolutely impossible to apologize. And there are things Levi can do, but doesn't want to say. Because it will feel very embarrassing. If Levi is asked to fight for the safety of Shaki and Yamato, of course Levi will not look back. Even if their lives are threatened, Levi is willing to help these two friends no matter what the cost. But it is too difficult to say the words that wrongly blamed them. Levi lowered his head and remained silent. Young man, some things are just a matter of words. Solve the problem as soon as possible, otherwise you may suffer losses again in the future. 349. Even you know it. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Rayleigh thinks Shaki and Yamato, although they look like some pretty girls. In fact, they are all good girls. He is very caring about Levi, has a sense of justice, and is very loving. Keeping the two of them with Levi will definitely help Levi a lot in the future. But if Levi's straight male character continues to be used, he might completely break the hearts of these two girls. Even if we try to save it by then, I'm afraid it won't be the same as it was at the beginning. Seeing that Levi didn't want to apologize, Rayleigh sighed. Okay then, let's go back to the captain's cabin. Yeah, I just want to discuss with Robin about the next stop and the issue of supplies. In fact, when Levi and Rayleigh went out just now, Robin just stood there and blushed. She didn't even notice when the two of them went out. Advertisement. As for why I went out, I don't even know. But this ship is relatively small after all, and even the sound insulation effect is not that good. Plus Levi, Shaki and Yamato, each one spoke louder than the other. I always yell when I'm excited. Even if Robin didn't know the reason at the time, he has roughly heard it now. When Levi came back, she saw that Robin's face had long returned to calm. But for Levi, as soon as he saw Robin, he remembered again what happened when the boat rocked. That incident seemed to be deeply imprinted on Levi's heart. I didn't feel anxious about dealing with other things before. Just seeing Robin brought that feeling back. Levi felt a little embarrassed and didn't dare to look directly at Robin. Advertisement. He lowered his head and said, "Ah, Robin, where will the next stop be? Shouldn't this kind of problem be considered now? After all, the supplies have been packed, right?" Robin held his waist with his hands and said seriously. Levi was suddenly stunned. He thought to himself that he had clearly whispered those things to Rayleigh in the cargo hold at the bottom of the ship. And when he had a quarrel with Shaki Yamato before, he didn't say these things. How did Robin know? Oh no, if Robin knew about this, wouldn't he have heard everything just now? Even if you don't apologize now, everyone on the ship already knows about those things. Levi only felt more embarrassed, and 3 black lines were drawn on his forehead. Advertisement. He found a chair and sat down, then rested his head on his hands. Ah, let's not talk about this for now. Then let me ask our navigator Robin, what do you think we need to consider right now? In fact, after Rayleigh and Levi walked out of Shaw and Yamato's room just now, the two of them closed the door and started talking. These complaints and murmuring words happened to be heard by Luo, Good Wang Jiao Bin. Because their room is right below the captain's room. This is why Levi and Rayleigh heard clearly what Shaki and Yamato shouted for help. In times of crisis, everyone ignores some details. Such details, of course, were ignored by Levi. Levi had no idea that Shaki and Yamato had been complaining about him for a long time through the door. What did he say again? 350. The Rising Mob. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. And because the bottom cargo hold where Levi and Rayleigh went is the thickest part of the entire ship's keel and structure. Therefore, the sound blocking was also very comprehensive, but the two of them did not hear the conversation. The next sea area will pass by this place. Levi, I remember you have been here before. Seeing Robin walking over seriously with a navigation chart, Levi had no time to think about what just happened. He originally said that just to relieve the embarrassment. Now Robin happened to hand over the navigation chart, so he took advantage of the situation and started reading it. Here, I seem to have some impression. But I remember that there seem to be more pirates here. That's right. After the collapse of the world government and the inability of the naval headquarters to succeed, some 330 remaining members of the pirate gangs that you had eliminated long ago gathered here again. Oh, did they actually get back together again? Advertisement. Rayleigh never expected that after the world order was rewritten, there would still be fish that slipped through the net. For example, Captain Vanderdecken IX's pirate group, Jack's pirate group, etc. These people don't do anything good on a daily basis. After Levi cooperated with others to eliminate these evil-doing pirate gangs, he originally thought that the world was finally a lot quieter. But at that time, they only punished the first culprit and ignored the rest. Originally, killing too much was not a good thing. CBAE. And most of them were forced to do bad things by the threats of those pirate captains who committed many evil deeds. I let them off the hook in the first place because I wanted to give them a chance to change their ways. But I didn't expect that there were still some diehards among them. Actually, after those people died, they gathered again. Although they are all just a bunch of people, their recent strength should not be underestimated. Advertisement. For example, people like Levi and Rayleigh naturally don't care. But if they are trading ships belonging to some weak caravans, they will inevitably suffer. If you want to eliminate them, you must capture the thief first. Who is their leader? Robin took out a newspaper from yesterday. This newspaper was received after Levi and Rayleigh entered the Fishman Island. The news in the newspaper showed that a group of pirates who robbed the fleet had recently appeared near the strait of a certain island. It is said that they are very careful when choosing their targets. If it was a ship with a good reputation, they would let it go or even hide far away. If it were a civilian ship, they would swarm it. Obviously, the intelligence research work beforehand was done very well. Advertisement. Even the naval headquarters has discovered their movements and wants to take action to eliminate them, but there is no way to do so. As for who the boss of their gang is, it is said that no one showed up at all. Because none of those who fell into their hands have survived. Damn it. Wait for me to kill them. It's just a convenient little thing. Wait a minute. Don't be impulsive. Why do you have to stop me from doing this? After Levi saw those words in the newspaper, no one survived, he was completely furious. Levi has always hated evil. If this group of people just get together and don't do bad things, he doesn't want to care about them at all. But once it hurts others, then he has to take care of it. If he doesn't deal with these people, how will he order other people in the future? 351. I'm afraid it's a trap. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. This time Levi and the others will go all the way to the kingdom of Taji in order to track down the stolen historical inscriptions. Besides, I would have been passing through that sea area, and if I encountered this group of rabble, I would simply destroy them. Isn't it very simple? It won't waste any time. Just release all your Reiatsu skills. With your own ship as the center of the circle, all pirates doing evil within a radius of dozens of kilometers will all turn into walking zombies. But Rayleigh realized that this matter was not simple. Not to mention the date of this newspaper, it happened to appear when they entered the Fishman Island. Simply speaking, from the time point of view, it makes people feel very suspicious. Why don't you show up earlier and later, but at this time? Moreover, the days when those former pirates who committed evil crimes were dealt with by Levi were far and near. Advertisement. Some were even a year ago, and some were in the past few months. The ability of these people to get together obviously did not happen overnight. And it is even more difficult to gather these people who belong to different pirate groups and quickly obey one person's orders. Therefore, this group of people should have already planned it from gathering to robbing homes. Obviously, this conspiracy was not just a whim. It's just that the news was deliberately released yesterday. Moreover, the newspaper only wrote about the things they knew, and never mentioned the things they didn't know. Levi, listen to me. This matter is not that simple. Those who stole the historical inscriptions on the Fishmen Island, if they had the courage to steal them, they must have thought of their next move. Rayleigh's original thought was that those behind the scenes were probably at their base, waiting for Levi and the others to fall into this trap. But I didn't expect it to show up halfway. Advertisement. Such things as traps are bound to fall into the trap of weak people. But considering Levi's combat power, it can't be said to be a trap, it can only be said to be a kill at the opponent's invitation. Uncle Rayleigh, are you afraid? Snapped. Leigh slammed the table suddenly. He hates it most when people say he is afraid of this. If it had been when I was younger, I might have started fighting with Levi. But after experiencing countless ups and downs, Rayleigh's heart had already calmed down. Please give me flowers. It can even be said that if this incident had happened the day before yesterday, Rayleigh would not have done such a thing as slamming the table. Everything changed after Rayleigh met Copper Jabba. After taking pictures of the table, even Rayleigh herself was confused. Advertisement. His restraint and forbearance have been going on for more than 20 years. Point 0. Is it really because I can't bear to see Levi being so impulsive now that I've broken through the power? Or is it because Copper Jabba evokes the softest memories in his heart? Even Levi and Robin were stunned. They have never seen Rayleigh so excited. Soon Rayleigh regained her composure. Sorry, I scared everyone just now. I always feel that this group of people is here for us. Maybe it has something to do with the theft of historical inscriptions. Levi, who was still a little impulsive at first, calmed down after hearing what Rayleigh said. He thought carefully about Rayleigh's analysis and words just now. Okay, I won't take the initiative to provoke them. For the sake of our grand plan, I will try not to do anything. Robin, you have to help me keep an eye on Levi. 352. The atmosphere is a bit disharmonious. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. What, me? Robin was a little stunned. She thought to herself, how could Rayleigh entrust me with such an important matter? This kind of thing is impossible to accomplish by yourself. Not to mention that Levi was impulsive and couldn't stop him at all. Even if he stopped it with words, Levi had heard it several times. Even Levi couldn't figure out what kind of medicine Rayleigh was selling in his gourd. He has already agreed to Rayleigh. For this plan of tracking down the stolen historical inscriptions, he will not take the initiative to provoke them. Advertisement. But why does he still say this? Don't you believe in yourself? Besides, what's the point of letting Robin, a navigator on the ship, watch him? Levi is the captain of this ship. Another person who controls the entire pirate world. Wouldn't it be too shameful to spread the word, even if Robin is his friend? But some things that Levi has decided will never be given up easily just because of other people's advice. Rayleigh, what do you mean? Haha, Levi, I just hope that before you do something impulsively, you can think carefully about the people on the ship and your friends. For the safety of everyone on board, some things have to be done. But there are some things that cannot be solved by force alone. If everyone in the pirate world is against you now, do you want to kill them all? Advertisement. How could such a thing happen? I'm just giving you a hypothetical situation. Just like those pirate gangs that have reappeared, are you planning to kill them all this time? I do have this idea. But I have promised you that I will not take the initiative. I was merciless before, which led to today's disaster. It's not as simple as you think. Uncle Rayleigh, you always say things are not that simple every time. But you never say the rest. Levi didn't know why, but he started arguing with Rayleigh this time. And it was in front of Robin. Maybe there is a backlog of things that happened in the past day. No matter what happens, after Levi makes a decision, it may not be that mature. But he also thinks about his friends and the people on the ship. It is also for the sake of historical inscriptions and matters related to the fate of the world. If Rayleigh feels that what he did is wrong, he can definitely give him better suggestions. Advertisement. Instead of trying to stop him every time, but not giving him any advice. He really wanted to ask Rayleigh what was going on. Seeing Levi asking so eagerly, Rayleigh thought it would be better to clarify some things with him earlier. However, considering the actual situation, we cannot say too much for the time being. He had to think about how to say it more appropriately. It is necessary to point out the problem clearly without revealing too many secrets. Seeing that Rayleigh was silent, he seemed to be deep in thought. The 2.4 expression on Levi's face is also extremely serious. Although the two people did not fall out or quarrel. But Robin always felt that the atmosphere between the two parties was a bit tense and not very harmonious. In the entire captain's room, except for the sound of the golden lion constantly turning the rudder and adjusting the course. Then there is the gentle sea breeze blowing from the window and the sound of seagulls chirping. 353. Come out and get some air. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Those sounds were like background music, completely ignored by the two of them. Robin felt that the current situation was a bit embarrassing, so she cleared her throat. Ahem, it suddenly occurred to me that Shaki and Yamato might need help. I'm going out first. After saying that, Robin slipped out of the captain's cabin holding his navigation chart. Robin just wanted to find an excuse to leave here. Robin wanted to resolve the dispute between Rayleigh and Levi, but she felt unable to do so. With her sixth sense as a 21-year-old woman, she felt that these things had been backlogged for a while. It's only now that it's bursting out. This is not a clear-cut opposition like good and evil, light and darkness. It's just an argument between two people handling the same thing differently. Advertisement. This kind of thing is the most difficult to deal with. Because even Robin doesn't know whether he should be on Levi's side or on Rayleigh's side. Emotionally, both men were his friends. And the relationship between Levi and herself seems to be getting closer. On one side is one's own persistence and inseparable emotions, and on the other side is reason. After Robin ran out, the first thing he encountered was the salty sea breeze. The sea breeze seemed to have blown away the things that Robin couldn't understand just now, like the dark clouds hanging in his heart. This suddenly gave her a clearer understanding of the situation inside. Intellectually speaking, Levi and Rayleigh each have their own reasons, and both are right. It's just that maybe it's about the direction of something. Maybe it's related to historical inscriptions and the truth about the entire world. Advertisement. Robin made up her mind and wanted to solve this problem on the route. Is it possible not to get close to the sea area where the pirate gang hangs out? She sat on the deck holding a nautical chart. But she found that no matter how she calculated, she still couldn't avoid that place. That place seemed to be a destined turning point. She sighed and decided to talk to Shaki and Yamato. On the other side, after Levi and Rayleigh saw Robin leaving, neither of them took it to heart. Uncle Rayleigh, there are only two of us now. Can you speak? Okay. Have you heard the saying? As the saying goes, with great power comes great responsibility. Of course I've heard of it. Aren't I just using my strong fighting power to solve problems? Then have you noticed that if you suppress those pirate gangs with pure force, it will trigger a new backlash? You have not completely solved the problem at all. Advertisement. That's because some fish slipped through the net. I should have ignored the dissuasion of others, tracked them down, and caught them all. Can you chase after so many people? 630 inches. I believe that with my Reiatsu ability, I can complete these things as long as it takes a while. Yes, time is the most indispensable thing for young people, but have you ever thought about how long this will take? Levi pondered for a while. These were indeed things he had not considered before. He just feels that where there is a will, there is a way. As long as you keep going, you will always achieve your goal. I haven't thought about it. Levi answered honestly. Just say what's on your mind. That's the problem. You act impulsively based on your first instinct without thinking about the consequences. 354. Where Destiny Begins. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. But I don't think there will be any worse consequences. It's better than leaving them alone, right? Okay, then I will continue to follow your train of thought. If you had spent so much time on these little things, I'm afraid you wouldn't even be able to see a single historical inscription now. How come? Levi just said 3 words and swallowed the rest. He tried to remember what happened in the first place. It all started at Naval Headquarters. Later he went to Impel Down to participate in Summit War. It's time to eliminate the 5 elders and destroy the world government. Every time a problem is solved, a new one arises. Of course, if he had not solved these immediate problems, he would not have been pushed to the step of solving the missing century-old history and the truth of the world. Advertisement. What if the truth of the world is revealed? Levi had never considered these things. But before things happen, if you think too much, you may give up and lose courage. This is why Levi always only relies on his first instinct to do things. And during those several battles with Marine Admiral and the kings of the pirate group, Levi has also considered this issue. He found that every time he defeated his opponent, it was not just because of his strong fighting power. What's more important is that he thinks less and just attacks. Every time he fights, he only thinks about how to defeat his opponent, not about winning or losing. He doesn't think about what will happen if he defeats his opponent. But his opponents are always hesitant. Once you think too much, you will be overwhelmed by his Reiatsu ability and ultimately fail. Advertisement. But now it seems that the whole world has returned to peace. In addition to the pirate gangs gathered just mentioned in the newspaper. It seems that there are not many opportunities for him to fight and kill. Levi began to think about how he wanted to eliminate those people at all costs. Is it because I haven't fought for so long that my hands are itchy, or is it because I have to do this? Levi just fell silent. Rayleigh observed Levi's expression. Various emotions changed several times on his face. Rayleigh knew Levi was a creative and smart guy. For this kind of person, some words only need to be said halfway. Levi can figure out the rest by himself. This is why Rayleigh is willing to communicate with Levi at this time. Advertisement. If we inevitably run into those pirate gangs, you act impulsively. Then you may become further and further away from the historical inscriptions. What Rayleigh said was very serious. Levi was stunned for a moment when he heard this, and then felt shocked. He was tempted to confront Rayleigh. How could this happen? Rayleigh is being alarmist. How can Nuo Wang Zhao do it? Nien. But before the words were spoken, another idea suddenly came to Levi's mind. Assume that everyone's destiny is a straight line, or a path in a maze. Then at every fork in the road, you must make a choice. Once you reach a fork in the road, your fate will continue like this. Ever since Levi decided to challenge naval headquarters and world government, the fate of the world has already begun to change. 355. Open and honest discussion. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Levi's fate was connected to uncovering the historical truth at that moment. In other words, Levi has chosen that fork in the road since then. No matter how many times he had to make choices along the way, he never gave up and just kept going. And on this journey, he met countless people. Whether it's Haki or Yamato, or Robin and Rayleigh. It was all because of the path he chose in the first place that he encountered it. Once at a certain fateful moment, Levi chose the wrong path. Is it true that 120 is getting further and further away from historical inscriptions and uncovering the truth of history, as Rayleigh said? Wouldn't he also drift away from his friends Robin and Rayleigh? Thinking of this, Levi even felt a little afraid to think about it. Advertisement. But isn't our goal the kingdom of Taiji? Those pirate gangs only appeared halfway, and we will eventually go there. As soon as Rayleigh heard what Levi said, he knew that he still didn't understand it. How long will it take you to eliminate those pirate gangs? It's only a few minutes. Levi replied confidently. What changes will happen in these few minutes? Have you considered it? There won't be any delay. Levi didn't believe that just a few minutes would have any impact on the direction of the whole thing. The Taiji kingdom is right there, and the good things will never disappear. If the people who stole the historical monument were hiding there, they would not leave. What if they run away? How can this be? Levi felt that what Rayleigh said was very reasonable. Advertisement. But at this time, he still wanted to make a quibble. He even felt that the possibility was very slim, just a 10% probability. And he was 90% sure that he could handle this matter. If you miss it by a hair, you will be wrong by 1,000 miles. LCBFB. Rayleigh threw down these 8 characters loudly, and then said nothing to Levi. Instead, he stood next to the Golden Lion. The Golden Lion held the rudder firmly with both hands. His eyes were fixed on the sea ahead. Little did he know that Rayleigh was standing next to him. Anyone in the world standing next to him will not have any influence on anything he does at this time. Ha, Levi, look how focused Golden Lion is, we are like air. Isn't this normal? Advertisement. Levi thought to himself, what does Rayleigh mean? It's not like he doesn't know what's going on. After Levi used Reiatsu's ability to defeat the Golden Lion, he pulled out most of his consciousness and became like this. It would be great if everyone was as focused as he is, focusing on one thing. Rayleigh originally turned her back to Levi and stared at the sea ahead. But when he said this, Rayleigh turned around and turned his attention to Levi. Levi naturally understands what Rayleigh's move means. He is talking about himself. Levi was about to have a seizure, but then he immediately understood the specific meaning of Rayleigh's words. Did he want me to concentrate on the historical inscriptions and just follow this clue? Don't you want to be delayed by other things? If this is really the case, Rayleigh's behavior just now can be completely explained. 356. Good intentions. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Rayleigh rarely questions Levi's decisions, only speaking out to stop them at critical moments. Although I didn't tell everything about what happened next, it was still giving me a chance to think. Thinking of this, Levi seemed to understand Rayleigh's good intentions. Levi wanted to save face and didn't want to admit that all the disputes just now were caused by him. Well, it seems it's time to eat, right? Haha, it seems that Natsu and Yamato are in charge of the meals on the ship today. When Rayleigh saw that Levi was no longer entangled in the previous argument, he knew that he must have figured it out. He didn't care about anything anymore. But this guy has always been a sharp-tongued person. Now that he has changed the subject like this, it proves that he is aware of the problem. So Rayleigh didn't want to expose Levi's little thoughts. Instead, he continued following his topic. As soon as we talked about food, the depressing atmosphere in the captain's cabin seemed to be swept away, and laughter returned again. Advertisement. The other side. Robin had been thinking for a long time on the deck since he walked out of the captain's cabin just now. Thinking about how to avoid the pirate gang. But there is no way to avoid it, that is the only route. So, she went to look for Haki and Yamato under the cabin. Robin knocked on the door. Haki and Yamato are concentrating on packing their things in the house. Although the two of them said they drove Levi away. But I wasn't really angry with Levi in my heart. After hearing the knock on the door, Haki and Yamato thought that Levi had changed his mind and wanted to come and apologize to them. When they opened the door excitedly, it was Robin standing in front of them. In fact, although they are in the same boat, most of the time the three of them meet is in multi-person situations. It's rare to have such contact in private. Advertisement. Because of Levi's incident, the three girls had some thoughts and ideas in their hearts. Although no one pointed it out, all three of them knew it. It's you. Yes, I want to stay here for a while, is that okay? Robin asked tentatively, while looking around the room. I saw that this place was already full of things. Although the two of them were constantly tidying up, the space still seemed a bit small. Please give me flowers. Robin didn't even know if Haki and Yamato would refuse his request. Why don't you stay in the captain's cabin? Could it be? Actually, Although Levi and Rayleigh did not quarrel just now, the matter cannot be expressed in simple words. I can't even explain it in a few words. Advertisement. Besides, it's never nice to speak ill of others behind their backs. 0. What's more, there is no real conflict between the two people, they are just arguing about some things. Robin really couldn't answer this question. She hesitated and hesitated. Shaki and Yamato were a little angry with Levi. Seeing Robin looking like he was hesitant to speak, the two of them immediately thought of it. Could it be that Levi's anger just now was directed at Robin again? Although the possibility of such a thing is very small. But in this case, Shaki and Yamato felt as if they had an extra layer of connection with Robin. Come in quickly. The two people directly invited Robin in. Even Robin was puzzled, how could these two people be so happy today? 357. A hearty meal. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. At night, Levi told Golden Lion a few more words. Let him carefully observe the movements on the sea and contact him in time if you have any questions. Afterwards, Rayleigh and Levi acted as if the previous quarrel didn't exist. They were talking and laughing one after another, and then entered the restaurant in the cabin to eat. Anyway, there are few people on this boat, so we all take turns cooking. The ones in charge of the food tonight are Natsu, 060, Chi and Yamato. In fact, except Levi himself has no talent for food. Rayleigh, who has been a pirate for many years, naturally has a way of cooking. Robin doesn't have any cooking skills, but fortunately she is smart and can learn anything. After getting along with Levi, Shaki and Yamato, I quickly mastered the cooking methods of several dishes. Advertisement. But among them, only Jen and Yamato have the highest level of cooking skills. But if you want to eat the food they cook, you only get it once a week. During the journey from Sabayati Archipelago to the Fishmen Island, Shaki and Yamato took turns cooking once. Levi still marvels at the food he ate last time and has endless aftertaste. Although I don't know how long it will take to reach the Taji kingdom this time. But Levi couldn't help but get excited when he thought that it would soon be his turn to eat the food cooked by the two of them. As soon as he walked into the restaurant, Levi smelled the aroma. Good guy, what is this? I have never smelled such a good smell. Rayleigh sniffed it and said, it's probably curry rice, right? It's just that this curry is different from the one we bought at the port. I can't help but have a big meal. After Levi finished speaking, he ran into the restaurant in 2 steps. Advertisement. As soon as I arrived at the restaurant, I saw Shaki, Yamato and Robin. Shaki is pouring the fragrant curry on the rice. Yamato is preparing tonight's drinks and setting out the dishes. Robin was right next to him. Seeing this harmonious picture, even Levi was a little stunned. Normally, the three of them would bicker with each other when they get together. But I didn't expect that this time, how could they get along so harmoniously? Levi still remembers that Robin went out holding his nautical chart. What happened next he had no idea. But now the fragrant curry rice made Levi's stomach growl. He had no time to think about why. Advertisement. But having such a situation was enough to make him happy. Levi ran in with a bang, and Robin, who was making a move, heard his footsteps. She was the first to turn around, just in time to catch Levi's gaze. Hey, where's Rayleigh? Because when Robin left the captain's cabin, Levi and Rayleigh were still arguing. She didn't know what happened to the next two people. However, in 0.9 Shaki and Yamato's room, no roaring was heard from the captain's room, and everything seemed calm. It's at the back. I can run faster and be one step ahead. Hearing Levi's answer, Robin also smiled. She knew that this meant that Levi and Rayleigh had reached a consensus and there would be no more quarrels. Levi, please wait a little longer. Dinner will be ready soon. 358. Yamato Special Wine. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. In the afternoon, Robin and Shaki Yamato stayed in the room. There was a whispered conversation between the girls. Naturally, their common topic is Levi. However, the content topic this time was to criticize Levi severely. After the complaints came out, it seemed that the relationship between the three of them deepened. If we use the words, share the same hatred and hatred, it seems that it cannot be accurately expressed. But it's so strange, they knew each other's little thoughts, and after talking about it, it didn't matter anymore. The 321 people spent the whole afternoon talking and laughing. In the evening, Robin also took the initiative to ask Shaki and Yamato about cooking skills. Only then did Levi see the scene of three people getting along harmoniously in the kitchen. But none of the three of them planned to tell Levi about it. Just think of it as a little secret between girls. Advertisement. Oh, Robin is also cooking. How rare. Uncle Rayleigh, stop teasing me. I'm just doing it. Rayleigh came in behind Levi, and even he felt a little incredible when he saw this scene. But when I saw Levi and Robin looking at each other, he just felt that it was Levi's charm that conquered these three people. That's why they can live in such harmony, which is really a good thing. Rayleigh couldn't help but look sideways at Levi. He thought to himself, what method did this young man use? Girls are very scary when they are angry. If it is not handled well, the earth will be shaken. This is also the reason why Rayleigh always wanted Levi to apologize to Shaki and Yamato. Looking at this scene, Rayleigh couldn't help but shook his head. He muttered a few words silently in his heart. Advertisement. Levi is much better than I was when I was young. He is really a charming person. Facing the food on the table, Levi couldn't help but sit down. Shaky Yamato, and Robin, come and eat. I can't wait. It'll be ready soon. There's also a special drink today. Yamato turned around, her right arm was stretched out, and 5 drinks were placed on it. Levi was a little stunned when he saw this scene. He didn't know that Yamato actually had such a skill. Then he made a cool move and flicked it. 5 drinks fell on the table at the same time. Not a single drop was spilled. Levi couldn't help but applaud. Awesome. Huh, what is this? Levi looked at the liquid in the cup and it was pink. Advertisement. It smells like the aroma of wine, with a hint of fruit. It's said to be wine, but the color doesn't quite resemble it. I prepared this specially for Uncle Rayleigh. This is called blended rum. In addition to the coding work on Sabayati Archipelago, Rayleigh also explores the situation of the Fishmen Island and protects Princess Shirahoshi. I spend most of my free time drinking. He usually drank a lot of those strong drinks. But he had never drunk wine that smelled so good. The last time he smelled a similar aroma was when he encountered the wine held by Meng Luolong, the queen of Taiji. Yamato actually picked it himself, so I have to give it a try. Saying this, Rayleigh picked up the cup and drank it all. After this glass of wine, Rayleigh really didn't taste anything. After long-term drinking of strong liquor, his sense of taste has long been no longer so sensitive. 359. Relationship with Wano-kuni. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Rayleigh smacked her mouth and felt the fragrance linger on her lips and teeth. Is it such a common name? Such a delicious thing should have a better name. That's right, Levi said and took a sip. However, he was still not used to the taste of wine. Rayleigh didn't taste much at all just now. At this time, he grabbed Levi's cup and drank it with a gulp. It wasn't until he drank the second cup that he tasted some of it. But he soon frowned. It looks like it's really similar. But how is it possible? Levi didn't really like drinking, and he drank very little. Advertisement. He just tasted it and felt that it had a spicy taste from alcohol. As for the fragrance, it only refers to the smell. After I actually drank it, I felt a little uncomfortable in my throat. He really couldn't understand what people who liked wine were drinking. Seeing Rayleigh keep repeating that sentence, it aroused Levi's interest. Uncle Rayleigh, what are you talking about? Yamato and Robin covered their mouths and laughed. Although this is a secret recipe, no one can taste it, but there are several flavors added to it. I always feel that this tastes really like the specialty wine of Queen Taiji. Oh, really? But I didn't use grapes. They said it was blended with rum. Rayleigh was a little shocked. It is still difficult to use a variety of different flavors to create a special fruit flavor. He couldn't help but look at Shaki. Advertisement. Shaki opened a hotel in Area 13 of the Sabayati Archipelago. She usually mixes some wine to entertain the pirates who come and go. Even Rayleigh often frequents Shaki's tavern to gather information. But he had never discovered that Shaki could make this kind of drink. Okay, Shaki, we have known each other for so long, but I have never seen you bring out this. You have a good drink and you don't tell me. Rayleigh mistakenly thought that this must be what Shaki taught Yamato. Ah, this recipe was researched by Yamato and Robin, not me. Yamato also asked Shaki for advice because he was interested in bartending. But she always has some fantastic ideas that even Shaki has never thought of. Rayleigh was even more shocked this time. Yamato, how could you ever drink the specialty of Taiji Kingdom? Levi was not very good at these wines and drinks. At this time, listening to Rayleigh talking about the Taiji Kingdom they were going to, he became confused. Advertisement. He thought to himself that Yamato had never been to that place. He had asked them before. Yamato also made it clear that he did not know this place. A place I have never been to, a place I have never heard of. How can Yamato imitate it? Which local specialty is it? Levi, who had no interest in the glass of wine, couldn't help but take a sip. Li Hao Hao. Then he shook his head, because he really couldn't tell the difference between good and bad wine. Single quote. Huh, this is based on my memories of things I smelled when I was a kid. Yamato lived in Wano-kuni when he was a child, and was later imprisoned on Onigashima. As for the Taiji Kingdom, I don't know about it at all. Yes, there are some things that Yamato can't recall, but I used chemical reactions to help restore them. Robin helped Yamato add another sentence. 360. Childhood memories. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Both Levi and Rayleigh knew that Yamato lived in Wano-kuni when he was a child and was later imprisoned on Onigashima. Is there any connection between the Taiji Kingdom and Wano-kuni? Since the death of Kazuki Oden, it has been controlled by other people. Even the subordinate Zuowu Island was affected. It wasn't until Levi came into the world that there was peace. But not many people have been to Wano-kuni before. Even many people living there have never heard of devil fruit. The connections with naval headquarters and world government are also not that 950 strong. Seeing the frowns of Rayleigh and Levi, Yamato also became puzzled. This kind of wine was found by chance when Wano-kuni sneaked into a room. She was just 8 years old at that time and was already naughty. Advertisement. As soon as she took a taste, she heard footsteps coming from outside. She was so scared that she hid. But after all, I was still a child at that time, so I fell asleep with a red face after taking a sip. When she woke up, she never saw that kind of wine again. As for the Taji kingdom that Rayleigh was talking about, she had never heard of it. CBDD. It was just that when I was chatting with Robin, I started talking about an old childhood group. Yamato said this casually. Robin and Shaki kindly helped Yamato search for memories, so they mixed such a drink. Even Shaki praised it. They know Levi is good at eating and Rayleigh is good at drinking wine. That's why we arranged such a dinner today. But I never expected that this could be connected with the kingdom of Taji. Several people looked at each other in confusion about this mysterious and unknown place. Advertisement. They were all a little uneasy about the next journey. Well, not bad. How about trying this curry rice? Levi glanced at Rayleigh and thought that if you ask this, you will definitely not hear the result. It would be better for the two of them to discuss this matter among themselves. So Levi planned to use this sentence to change the topic. Rayleigh immediately understood what Levi meant and stopped worrying about the glass of wine. She probably can't even remember what happened when Yamato was a child. Oh, it's really good. I didn't expect Shaki's skills to be as good as before, haha. Later, the meal went on like this for more than an hour and then broke up. After the meal, Rayleigh and Levi mysteriously returned to the captain's cabin. Yamato, Shaki and Robin finished packing their things and came to the deck alone. The wind at night was slightly cool, and the moonlight and starlight reflected on the sea. Advertisement. Occasionally there are a few fish, jumping out of the water from time to time, swishing down the mountain again. Yamato looked at the sea in the night and recalled what Rayleigh said. She really wants to help Levi find the historical inscription. But she didn't know much about these. Staring at the place in the distance where the sea and sky wanted to meet, Yamato closed his eyes and tried to recall his childhood memories. Want to find the connection. She can remember the appearance of her father Kaido, and she can also remember Wanokuni's Kazuki Oden. I can also remember the room she sneaked into that day. The color of the liquid in the wine glass on the table attracted her deeply. Then she tried her best to stare at the wine glass in her memory, but she associated the red color with a fire. It's like a shadow reflected on a wine glass. She shook her head and found that she could no longer recall anything. 361. Can't help but worry. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Levi always believed that Rayleigh shouldn't bring it up during dinner. Some things about Yamato's childhood are not good memories. I am afraid that even Yamato himself has buried all the bad memories of his childhood deep in his heart because of his cheerful personality and casual and straightforward behavior. Although Yamato rarely mentioned the past, Levi still learned about it from the side. If Rayleigh suddenly asked this, wouldn't it be reminding Yamato of bad past events? Finally, Yamato seems happy and careless now. What if she thinks of those bad things? If Yamato is no longer so happy from now on, that will be troublesome. Out of concern for his friends, Levi wants to make everyone who stays with him happier. It was precisely for this reason that Levi quickly changed the topic in the restaurant. Advertisement. Even at the dinner table, there is nothing to say, just looking for something to say. Levi even felt very tired from today's meal. He tried hard not to let Yamato think about those things again. In the restaurant, Rayleigh was very cooperative with Levi. But Levi always felt that Yamato's expression was not quite right. When pulling Rayleigh back to the captain's cabin, Levi gave Shaki a secret wink. They both live in the same room. He hopes Shaki can comfort Yamato. On the way, Levi probably told Rayleigh the reason. As soon as he entered the captain's cabin, Levi saw Yamato blowing the sea breeze on the deck from the porthole of the captain's cabin. Under the sea breeze, Yamato's long white hair is blowing in the wind, and his golden earrings also look very beautiful. Advertisement. Even her sleeveless kimono was constantly swaying in the wind. Levi only felt that Yamato seemed to be more distressed at this time. Uncle Rayleigh, there are some things that you shouldn't say so clearly. It's enough for both of us to know. Oh, I was also emotional for a moment. I just blurted it out. In fact, Rayleigh has always been very concerned about intelligence everywhere, especially about the person who stole the historical monument this time. So when I heard that Wanokuni was also related to the Taji kingdom, I couldn't help but blurt it out. He hasn't had time to think about the impact of this on Yamato. Please give me flowers. Fortunately, Levi responded quickly. This actually makes Rayleigh admire Levi a little, and it seems that he has discovered another shining point in him. He had always thought that Levi was young and impulsive. Advertisement. But I didn't expect that when facing a girl's emotions, I could be both rough and subtle. It's really rare. Look at Yamato's appearance, I'm really worried. 0. Levi pointed out the window, and Yamato, who was blowing the sea breeze on the deck, said to Rayleigh. She is a strong girl, I think she will be fine, right? I'm just afraid that she may appear strong, but actually won't say a lot of things on her mind. She's just afraid that problems may arise if she holds it back. Don't worry too much. Rayleigh patted Levi on the shoulder, we'll know everything when we get there. Levi couldn't help but sigh. Of course I know this. It's just that I've just been sailing for a whole day, and so many interesting things happened. Isn't this information too dense? Rayleigh thought about what Levi said, and it did make sense. It will take more than 10 days to get there. How many things will happen next? 362. Bad cooking skills. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Since that day, life has gone on as usual. Yamato is still the same as always, coming out every night to enjoy the sea breeze on the deck. Robin, on the other hand, holds her nautical chart and plans and calculates the route every day. Even the atmosphere on the entire ship has not changed. It was full of laughter as always. When it was time for dinner, whoever's turn it was to cook went on as usual. 80. But since then, no one has mentioned the special wine Yamato made at that time. Rayleigh was originally a heavy drinker, and even Shaki would have a few drinks occasionally. But since that day, the two of them would only drink 2 drinks secretly after meals. Advertisement. I wouldn't drink it in front of Shaki at all. They were afraid that mentioning this matter again would awaken the unhappy memories of Shaki's childhood. Of course, this was all arranged by Levi. Levi these days, apart from studying the route planning with Robin. And listening to Robin talk about the customs of the islands he passed along the way. Not a word was said about the red historical inscription. Levi knew that Robin now had no clue about the interpretation of the red historical inscription. What's more, one of the pieces was stolen. Only when the stolen piece is found this time can everything come to light. So it is useless to talk about those inscriptions now. As for the Golden Lion, he was originally a person who had part of his consciousness removed by Levi. Advertisement. Every day is a mechanical life. Apart from following Levi's instructions, he does not participate in anything else. He is only responsible for holding the rudder steadily. But the only thing that makes everyone feel depressed is the day when it's Levi's turn to cook. Levi has never been good at cooking. Even if Robin and Shaki Yamato taught Levi at the same time, he could never learn it. On the day when Levi was cooking, everyone found it hard to swallow after taking one bite. But it's hard to refute Levi's face and undermine his self-confidence. If it hits Levi, he might just give up when it's his turn to cook. In order to avoid this situation, everyone reluctantly takes 2 bites. Even Shaki and Yamato would use the excuse that they were losing weight and had a bad appetite today. Robin, on the other hand, would use the excuse that she had to plan her route quickly, eat a few bites and then leave. Advertisement. Only Uncle Rayleigh doesn't care too much about his sense of taste because of his long-term drinking. So he was able to eat everything Levi made with gusto. With Rayleigh setting an example, Levi never thought about how unpalatable his food was. After everyone else had left, Levi asked with some confusion at the dinner table. Do these 3 girls have some special tastes? They don't seem to be very satisfied with the taste of the food I cook, right? As for this question, I think it's better for you to ask them yourself. Levi scratched his head, thinking that these topics had never been discussed before. 5.1. In the past, in some cities or towns, you would go to restaurants to eat, and you could just order whatever you wanted. It was when we got back to the ship that we had no choice but to take turns cooking. In addition, the sailing journey this time is relatively long, and we are heading towards the calm belt. Therefore, there are relatively few islands that can be anchored along the way. 363. Found an excuse. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. There has been no fresh food on the ship for a long time. Most of it is some canned food and some dried food that can be stored for a long time. Do you think it's because there's no fresh food, so they're tired of it? Rayleigh had already eaten the entire plate of Levi's food by this time. Shaki, Yamato, and Robin ate most of the remaining meals. At this time, he burped and said, "It's easy to eat fresh food. The most indispensable thing in the sea is fish." Rayleigh's words reminded Levi, "Yes, why didn't I think of that?" Levi has never fished at sea. However, the fishing rods and hooks for sea fishing have been prepared on this boat. Advertisement. This was what came with the boat when 21 originally bought it. There are even harpoons and fishing nets. It's just that Levi never uses these things, so he keeps them in the top corner of the cabin gathering dust. Just do it. Levi ran out immediately. Then he ran to the corner of the warehouse at the bottom of the cabin and rummaged through those things. Shaki, Yamato and Robin, on the one hand, they couldn't bear to dampen Levi's enthusiasm, but on the other hand, they wanted to find excuses to shirk. As a result, they feel particularly hungry on certain days of the week. At this time, the pile of messy things Shaki and Yamato bought on the Fishmen Island came in handy. There are all kinds of snacks specially made by the Fishmen Island. With these things, the 3 of them can survive. But I don't buy much of these things, and there will always be a day when I finish them. Advertisement. It happens to be today. Shaki distributed the last 3 snacks from a small iron box to everyone. After the 3 people swallowed it wholeheartedly, they did not change their state of hunger. Robin studies navigation charts every day, which requires a lot of brainpower. If she doesn't eat enough, she feels like her brain is in a mess and she can't think clearly. Why don't we take a look at what's in the warehouse and grab some to eat? Shaki and Yamato were hesitant about Robin's proposal. But most of them are raw. If you search for them, you will definitely alert Levi. Yes, he will ask why we have to cook alone again. When Robin thought about it, it was indeed the case. Although Levi's cooking skills are terrible, he still has confidence in his attempts at cooking. Advertisement. Robin also didn't expect that Levi was very good in many aspects and learned things very quickly. Why is there so little progress on the issue of eating, which is one of the 3 most important things in life? Although both Shaki and Yamato said so, Robin really felt a little hungry. Let's do this 663. If you don't go, I will go by myself. If I find something delicious later, you are not allowed to snatch it from me. In fact, Shaki and Yamato were already very hungry. Although Robin's suggestion made them particularly excited, they were afraid of meeting Levi. So the three people discussed it carefully. It was decided that Robin would be responsible for going in to look for things, while Shaki and Yamato would stay at the door to look out. Even their excuses for going to the warehouse to find something were already made up. You must remember what I'm going to say below. If Levi finds out, just say this. Do not worry. 364. I'm going to hit you. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Robin and Shaki Yamato also knew that there were harpoons, fishing nets and fishing rods on Levi's boat. But Levi never uses these things. I don't even know how to use this thing. Even if he encounters Rayleigh, he is not afraid. Because anyone who lives at sea all year round knows that the closer you get to the calm belt, the more sea kings there are in the sea. No one would go fishing like crazy at this time. The fish that can survive with those smelly and disgusting sea kings are all highly poisonous. If you meet Levi, just say he's here to fish with a fishing rod. They also believed that this excuse would be able to trick Levi. And it wouldn't be such a coincidence that I really met Levi. Advertisement. Except for taking out food every day when cooking, very few people would go to the warehouse at the bottom of the cabin. After some discussion, several people happily ran into the warehouse at the bottom of the cabin. But when I first came in, I noticed a slight noise coming from inside. Hey, what's the sound? Shish, keep your voice down. Maybe it's a mouse. How is that possible? There are no rats on the Fishman Island. Besides, have we anchored anywhere else since we left there? What if someone sneaks up here? As soon as the words fell, a hint of worry secretly flashed in the hearts of the three girls. They have long known that this journey is full of unknowns, difficulties and obstacles. I even thought about it, is someone already targeting them? So Robin's words made them nervous. Don't be afraid, I'm here. Advertisement. Yamato, a straightforward female man, took the lead and rushed to the front. Shaki and Yamato, who had originally agreed to watch outside the door, couldn't help but go in with Robin to check. As soon as the three people entered, they bypassed the layers of wooden barrels and the shelves filled with goods. He picked up some wooden strips from the shelf and held them in his hands as weapons. Whether you encounter a human or a mouse, the problem will be solved with just one stick. Finally, the sound was discovered in the corner of the warehouse at the bottom of the entire cabin. Although there were only a few tall wooden barrels between them and the sound of relief, they did not dare to underestimate the enemy. Robin put his index finger to his mouth and made a shushing gesture. Yamato also used his right hand as his palm and made several gentle downward movements. Signal the other two people to stay quiet and their steps must be light. Shaki made a gesture with the number 3 with his right hand, and then changed it to 2. The three people touched the wooden sticks in their hands tightly, and then exchanged glances with each other. Advertisement. When Shaki's hand gesture changed to the number 1, the three people waved the wooden sticks at the same time. Hit the back of the barrel. Comma dot. Oops, who is it? Shaki even waved the wooden stick in his hand several times because he was so nervous. Until the wooden strip was broken into 2 pieces. I'll beat you to death. You're a bad guy. I'll beat you to death. Shaki doesn't have much combat experience, and he doesn't have as much strength as Robin and Yamato. I can't control the strength of my exertion either. In addition, those wooden strips are originally frames for holding some fragile items, and they are originally very thin and thin boards. So it's easier to break. But even if the wooden stick broke, Shaki kept waving the wooden stick. Robin and Yamato recognized that the voice belonged to Levi and quickly collected the people. 365. How could it be you? Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Levi was rummaging through the fishing rods and hooks on the boat. But he never thought that someone would come to the warehouse at the bottom of the cabin at this time. He touched the dusty fishing rod and wiped it. I fantasized about catching a few fish so that Shaki, Yamato, and Robin could have some fresh food. Unexpectedly, at this moment, 3 wooden sticks rained down on him. Although Levi's combat ability is very strong, Reiatsu's ability is also very fishy. But on the one hand, he didn't sense any strange aura when he was attacked. Judging from the force of the blow, it must have been done by a girl. So Levi didn't resist at all, he even thought that maybe it was Shaki and Yamato who did it. Advertisement. 570. However, in terms of physical defense, Levi is still a little behind. Levi felt a twinge of pain and screamed. But unexpectedly, when he shouted, the other 2 wooden bars stopped, except one. Until he heard a crash and the wooden plank broke into 2 pieces. But there was still a whistling sound behind the ears. Levi covered the bag on his head, then turned around to look at the pain. I saw that Robin and Yamato had already put their hands behind their backs, and then smiled awkwardly. Only Shaki had his eyes closed, and there was only a piece of wood less than an inch long in his hand, but he was still waving it with all his strength. While waving, she kept shouting. When Levi saw this, he immediately understood what was going on. His hand suddenly grasped Shaki's wrists. Advertisement. Shaki originally wanted to resist, but he felt that the temperature of this hand was unusually familiar. She slowly opened her eyes, only to find that it was Levi. Her face immediately turned red, and she looked very nervous. She looked at Robin and Yamato with awkward expressions. The half-section of wood in Shaki's hand loosened unconsciously and fell to the ground with a clang. I'm sorry, Levi. I didn't know it was you here, it was just the two of them. Shaki pointed at Robin and Yamato in a panic. Robin and Yamato forced out a smile, and then shook their heads desperately. At the same time, he whispered, it's none of our business. Levi turned around and came behind Robin and Yamato, then pulled out the two wooden bars they were carrying on their backs and threw them to the ground. Tell me, what's going on? I was looking for a fishing rod here, and you guys showed up. Fishing rod. Yamato didn't react for a moment. Are you two? Could it be? Advertisement. Robin reacted quickly and quickly covered Yamato's mouth. She knew that this simple guy must have remembered that the three of them had just discussed how to hide things from Levi. But he didn't expect that by such a coincidence, Levi actually came to find the fishing rod. Robin was a little worried that Yamato would tell the truth about the matter, so he used his other hand to tug at the corner of Yamato's clothes. Levi saw the three people with such strange expressions. It's like there is some secret hidden. He couldn't understand what was going on. Yamato, what did you just want to say? Robin winked desperately at Yamato. Then she took off the covering on his mouth. Ah, well, we were just passing by here. Yes, I passed by the door. 366. Calm Belt Fishing. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Robin and Shaki were worried that Yamato couldn't explain clearly, so they added in unison. Then what? Yamato, you say it yourself. Levi saw the three of them chattering so loudly that he couldn't hear clearly. We just heard some noise inside, and we were afraid that there was a rat attack, so. After hearing that Yamato made up such a reason, Robin finally breathed a sigh of relief. Even Shaki, who was a little nervous just now, couldn't help but give Yamato a thumbs-up gesture behind Levi's back. Levi didn't doubt it was fake, so he held the fishing rod in his hand and said. I see that you guys haven't eaten much tonight, so I plan to catch you some fish to eat in a while for a fresh taste. But I'm not good at fishing, so don't have high expectations. Robin, Shachi and Yamato just felt that the current situation was a bit embarrassing and wanted to run away quickly. There was no time to think about what Levi said about fishing. Advertisement. When they heard Levi say that several people had eaten less recently, they were only worried that Ji-Wei would find out that they didn't want to eat Ji-Wei's cooking. I'm more worried about damaging Levi's self-confidence and letting him know that his cooking skills are terrible. Ah, well, we have something else to do, let's go first. Yeah, Shaki said there was something else he wanted me to help with. That's right, Robin said she wanted me to teach her how to do crafts. The three people blamed each other, and then slowly backed away from the door. When they arrived at the door, the three people ran away quickly. Levi was left confused, although Levi didn't know what the three of them were talking about. But Levi felt that they didn't pay much attention to fishing like this. Levi thought to himself, maybe they knew they couldn't fish, so they underestimated themselves. Advertisement. The more he thought about this, the more Levi wanted to prove it to them. I will definitely catch a fish and show it to you. Levi then walked out carrying the fishing rod. Rayleigh ate a little too much tonight and kept lying in the dining room burping. At the same time, he picked up a bottle of rum and started drinking it himself. This rum is a must-have on every pirate's ship. Rayleigh has been drinking for decades and has long been used to it. Asking for flowers. Although it's not like I haven't had any good wine. But only this strong and strange-tasting rum could remind him of his glorious years as a pirate in his youth. I felt a little sleepy after eating a full meal, and then I drank a bottle of wine. Advertisement. Rayleigh only felt that her eyelids were beginning to fight. Just before his eyes closed, he looked out from the restaurant glass and saw a figure slipping onto the deck holding a fishing rod. Point 0. We're almost here in the calm belt and there's still people fishing. Hiccup. Are you trying to catch sea kings or poisonous fish? Rayleigh muttered a few words to himself, but he felt that he could no longer move. So my head flopped down on the table, and then I snored and fell asleep. Robin, Shaki and Yamato returned to their rooms. When I think of the scene just now, where Levi almost discovered me, I can't help but feel frightened. After a while, Robin recalled what Levi had just said in his mind, and suddenly remembered a very important thing. What fishing? Is Levi crazy? 367. Daily life after changing the world. Over. Previous chapter. Advertisement. Fishing on the calm belt. That's quite exciting. That is for Robin et al. Some stimulation was too much. But Levi's life now. Just a little exciting. After all, his current strength has long been invincible in the entire pirate world. It's okay to be ordinary. But since then, I always feel like there is boiling power in my body. If I don't vent it out, I always feel like something is missing. So I started with Sea Kings. There is no real enemy of 527. This is how Levi visits some old friends he met in the plot. Look at them with the eyes of a spectator. It also feels extremely interesting. In his free time, Levi travels and meets familiar people or lovely ladies. Rent an island and enjoy life together. If you stay for a long time. Advertisement. I will also buy a boat and set sail to explore the unknown world. There are still many places in this world. No one has ever set foot in it, which can give Levi some interesting experiences. When it comes to work, Levi now does more than just fulfill his duties as Marine Admiral. Sometimes I change jobs and experience a different life. But it's Levi's favorite thing to do. Or harmonize the whole sea. Whether it's 4 emperors, or world government. They all know that they want to cause trouble on this sea. You need to ask Levi for his opinion first. Otherwise it is very possible. You are eating hot pot and singing at home. With a pop, Levi kicked open your door to check the water meter. When Levi was still alive, pirates and nobles of the world have all restrained themselves. As for Levi dying, that would be a bit difficult. He lived a long life. Maybe after generations of their descendants are dead. Levi is still alive and well. Advertisement. Levi enjoys this life. Everyone lives peacefully every day. Isn't this bad? That's a good thing for most people. For the ambitious few. That's not a good thing. According to later historical statistics. This is what the heroes of this era say the most. It's not about becoming the pirate king or ruling the world. But, why isn't that bastard man dead? Until old age, many people are eager to burn Levi to death. But they were disappointed. What Levi masters is Reiatsu. The soul is under the influence of this energy. Aging very slowly. You can't beat it, you can't survive it. The heroes are extremely desperate. This is why there are people who take desperate risks. But this still doesn't change anything. Because of the good public security environment around the world, trade exchanges are more frequent. The era of great adventure you advocate has come. Robin looked at the man in front of him and said with great admiration. Advertisement. In just a few years, he actually relied on his own efforts. An era that was originally full of chaos, blood, and madness. Completely ended and ushered in a new era. This is something that even the real ruler of the world government cannot do. This method is like a god. The sea is more interesting like this. I hope that wherever I go, it will bring not only fear, but also the warmth of the spring breeze. Levi is also very satisfied. Everyone can go to sea without worrying about safety. Civilization and peace are so wonderful. Only in this atmosphere can better things be born. Then should you also think about yourself. Several sisters are waiting. The big carrot with a big heart. 3.5 inches. Ah. This. Levi touched his nose. Although he didn't deliberately pursue anyone. But after traveling around the world and visiting many places, there are also many people, friends, and couples gathered around me. I'm ready. But Levi also knew that delaying like this was not a problem. He is ready to face anything. If you like it, just say you like it. Anyway, it's not like I can't afford it. Seeing this, Robin smiled slightly. Full text finished.